McAfee Show.
There will be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Yes,
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good day, beautiful people. Please have the beat truck. It is Wednesday, September 16th, and Big Ten football is officially back on for this. After 36 days of confusion, backlash, and misinformation, the Big Ten made it official this morning that they will no longer be postponing the football season to the spring. So now 4 of the 5 power conferences in college football are playing, and that sound you hear, that smell you smell coming from the middle of America is one of absolute happiness and joy from the players, their families, their coaches, and the Big Ten cult-like fans. I could talk about how this is another example of the ruling class being completely out of touch with those who they are supposed to be serving. This is a tale as old as time. I could say that. I could say you can't learn self-awareness and feel for situations in a classroom or from a book, and there's no PhD in common sense. But that is not the way this situation should be talked about. This Big Ten story should be talked about in a positive fashion because for the first time in what feels like forever, a group of humans who were put into a position of power set their incredibly paramount, massive, large egos aside and adjusted their response due to the change in circumstance. For far too long, those in power have refused to do such a thing, even when it's painfully obvious painfully obvious, that their decision is not necessarily the best one. They will sit on it until death because conviction is one of the best traits a leader can have. The ability to make the tough decisions that might be unliked by the masses, but it was a decision that had to be made to benefit the greater good, is always the talking point given to those in charge when a very disliked decision is made. Now, Kevin Warren, in his first year as the Big Ten commissioner, and the 11 other presidents that voted against the football season in the fall, have listened to the masses and the world and probably the money and changed course. This should be commended and accepted and shown to the next generation as a completely great way to lead. The ability to adapt and not let your ego or pride get in the way of making something happen that everybody else seems to be able to make happen. Welcome back, Big Ten football. Welcome back, Big Ten fans, and welcome back college football in a much more complete fashion. Today, two-time Super Bowl champ Ike Taylor will join us in hour 2. NFC Defensive Player of the Week, Week 1, Ryan Kerrigan of the Washington football team will join us in hour 3 with A.J. Hawk. But right now, all the boys are here. Tone Diggs is here. Boston Connor is here. Ty Schmidt is here. Jason's here. Mr. Mansouri, Evan Foxy, Nick, Gumpy, Billy. Zito's over here on the casting couch with a poll that says what?
Who should get the most credit for the Big Ten returning?
Is it
Kevin Warren, General Bob Carpenter, Sir Yacht, and the picketing parents
that went to Chicago and picketed outside of the Big Ten offices whenever this decision was made? But one of those options on that poll is joining us right now. Ladies and gentlemen, out of Columbus, Ohio, a man who is a general for the Big Ten Army, which consisted of players, families, coaches, some athletic directors, 3 presidents, which were Iowa, Nebraska, and the Ohio State, to hopefully get this ruling overturned. General Bobby Carpenter. Bob, how's it going?
It's going good, Patrick. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate the support.
I want to show you the boys who are at attention here, giving a full salute to their General Bob Carpenter. We've been watching you on the internet. Go very loud, be very loud for the last 36 days. You were at one point redlining statements that were being released by the commissioner of the Big Ten, pointing out hypocrisies and things that didn't make any sense. Then you were giving out emails and phone numbers to presidents at universities for people to reach out to them and tell them what's going on. You were actually teaming up with Michigan fans at one point because Michigan fans had to be heard because the Michigan president had a massive pull in this whole thing. You have been a driving force behind the comeback. I don't think you've been saying that it's going to come back, it's going to come back, it's going to come back. But I feel like on the internet streets, General Bob Carpenter, who was obviously an All-American, I believe, at Ohio State, and he was drafted to the Dallas Cowboys, a great football player. But on the internet, you've been leading a charge of people to let their voices be heard here in the Big Ten. And here we are, Wednesday, September 16th, and Big Ten football is no longer postponed to the spring. This has to be a victory lap morning for General Bob Carpenter.
You know, and I don't want to call it a victory lap morning, Pat. I'm really excited. I'm happy that it happened. It feels really good, but it's not about me, man. Like, this was always about the players. It was about their opportunity to get out there. You know, playing at West Virginia, man, you just want to play football. The coaches want to coach football. The parents want to watch their kids play football. And so all that stuff that happened, like, yeah, it's great. It feels good. But, dude, it's not for me. And I love that stuff, man. It's great. It's entertaining. But the victory wasn't for me. It was for the players. I'm just so happy for those guys to be able to finally have some clarity and have a start date to which they'll be able to start preparing and training and having a shot to go play for something this fall.
I'll tell you what. Humility is a great sign of leadership there, General. And you saying it's not about you, it's about the players. And not only the players, by the way, the players' families, the coaches, the athletic directors, the fans. I mean, it was a big army you were leading of people that were happy. Now, they came out this morning, General Bob, and said that they would not be accepting, which I find awesome, just to make this statement. We will not accept the tests from the president, okay, because we don't want politics to come in, but we'll get tests from somebody else. Does it matter where they get the tests from? Just as long as they get the tests and make this whole thing happen, I think that should be the entire message. But I like that they had to come out and officially say, you know, we ain't taking Any test from the president, by the way, but we're getting tests from somewhere else. Was that the big hurdle they had to get over? Was the testing efficiency? And is that ultimately what pushed us over the goal line?
Touchdown.
I like that.
Thank you.
And I'll say this, man, like this wasn't meant to be political in any way, dude. The only thing that we're caring about here, right there, USA.
That's right.
General Bob.
That's right.
That's good.
Excited for the Big Ten to be back.
Hell yeah.
But man, like, I didn't care if these tests would come from President Obama, President Trump, FDR, Abraham Lincoln.
Oh.
I mean, if Joseph Stalin had tests, Pat, I would have taken him for the conference to be able to have those
I don't
kids
know.
play. It was about the players the entire time. And that's what I'm hoping that everybody understands. And these guys are getting back out there. They're getting a shot to do their thing. And it was about finding the test. So the fact that the presidents came out and said, we don't appreciate the criticism, it's not going to help, Pat, everybody that played sports, everyone's in the public eye. They always say they don't read the papers.
Oh.
And by saying you don't read the papers, that basically means that you watch the media, you read the papers, you know all of what's going on. And you're saying that trying to brush off everything as if it doesn't matter.
Okay, Bob, let's say you and your army are quiet. Let's say Sir Yacht isn't breaking news every other day about it coming back. Let's say that the parents aren't picketing and everybody just reacts how I think they thought everybody was going to act. Because remember, the president, it has come out in a Sports Illustrated article that the Big Ten presidents thought that they were going to be heralded as heroes because they're looking out for safety as opposed to money. And instead, the complete opposite happened. And I think they were expecting everybody just to hear the decision made. They were expecting the ACC the next day to make the same decision, and everybody's gonna be like, you know what? Hey, they're the presidents. They know what they're talking about. Let's just go ahead and go. They expected that without the massive pushback. And if you weren't like we live in Indianapolis and we have a lot of friends in the area, so I got a chance to watch the amount of pushback, the picket, everything that potentially happened. If you think none of that happened without your leadership of the Army on the internet, without the picketing, without the calls, you think there's any chance we're in this position now? Or do you think they would have kept up with the medicals to see if they could, no stone left unturned to get the season back in this thing? Or do you think it's a large PR potential problem as well for them?
You know, when I look at it, I think that they may have paid attention to it. But listen, nobody likes to get criticized. And Pat, you and I played in the NFL, man. You're having some bad games. People criticize you. You develop thicker skin. These presidents had largely never been criticized probably in their entire lives. They're academics. Yeah. People pat them on the back. They tell them how great they're doing, how these great little papers they write, all the memorandums, all of these wonderful things that they do. And finally, they saw a little bit of pushback. And some of it came with parents. Some of it came, with media people. Some of it was players. Some of it was coaches. I don't think we are where we are today without the groundswell and them misreading the situation. And the fact that your school, Pat, West Virginia, and our guy Gordon Gee, who was the former president of Ohio State, they helped keep the Big 12 alive because he was such an advocate. Notre Dame helped keep the ACC alive because they were such a big advocate to get it going. So between those two schools saving two other conferences, the SEC was always going to go. And those three schools said, we're not going, we're not folding. And now the Big Ten was left on an island with their buddies, the Pac-12, and no one was really caring about what happened on the West Coast.
It does seem like it's been pretty quiet out of the Pac-12. I have seen some players, both alumni and current, who have been tweeting like, hey, Pac-12, now everybody else is doing it. Can we get going? And there just hasn't really been that groundswell. So I would like to say that the Big Ten pushback from whoever was the only reason this happened, because the Pac-12 would have the same access to the test that the Big Ten would have. Now, granted, California and Oregon are currently dealing with some things, but also the rules they have, I'm not sure they can have stadiums at all filled or campuses open. So it might be a little bit different than the Big Ten. But boy, that pushback was loud. And that point that you had about presidents never getting critiqued for anything is hilarious. They do a lot of critiquing themselves. You can't really learn that type of stuff whenever you're, valedictorian and the smartest person ever, and every answer you give, everybody's like, oh, I'm going with what that person says. I have a friend that I do that. Well, if that person says, I'm going with it. I can't.
Pat, think about this. You think those presidents have ever been in a Monday morning call-out meeting in the NFL? I mean, that is arguably the most uncomfortable setting in the entire world. No one wants to be in there. You crawl in that thing and want to hide under your desk sometimes as the coaches sit there, and you know the play is coming, and you know how bad it's going to be. And so you hide, and you do the very best you can. And you sit there and get scathed, and you walk out of it a better person.
Well, and by the way, a laser pointer is circling you just so they know, like, hey, this is who we are talking about here. This is the person we are talking about. And then they'll even turn and look. Guy, second row from the back right there is who we're talking about, who, by the way, only watched an hour and a half of film last week. We have it all on film. This is what this person knew. There's a lot of that. And I have to, and I said this in the open, I think it's a great display of leadership to be able to adjust your answer, set your ego aside, set your pride aside, and be like, hey, okay, we're in a new circumstance. Let's get back to it. Speaking of getting back to it, they released a date. October 24th, I believe, is whenever they're getting back into it. The Big Ten, they're going to run 8 straight weeks until the Big Ten championship. So hopefully one of their teams could get into the college football playoff, or multiple teams or whatever. They can compete in that. Why is October 24th the date? Could they not move that up a little bit? Or were they always set on giving a full month in a week here to get back into it? I feel like 3 weeks, a lot of teams have been practicing. They could have got back earlier. Why did they delay it to October 24th from what you've been hearing?
Well, the question is, Pat, why did they delay in making the decision until now? If they make the decision last week, it's not near the issue. And so you have the time to ramp up and be able to play on the 17th. That gives you that week buffer. I don't understand why they would be trying to jam all this together so quickly and not give yourself any leeway. It's almost as if they kind of don't want it to succeed, which almost wouldn't be a surprise to me as well. Exactly. I know. But, you know, they drug this thing out, and then this is what they're left with. You have to sprint this thing through now for the next 8 weeks. And we'll see how it works. Hopefully it does. They got plenty of time to ramp up, and I hope everything goes smoothly for the players' sake.
Do you guys think you talked about getting new facts and then readjusting your opinion and stuff like that, that the first-round talents that already opted out way back when the Big Ten postponed their season, Rondale Moore, Micah Parsons, Shaun Wade, like they'll rethink and maybe potentially come back and play this season?
I could see that happening. It just depends. Like, what are you really playing for? Like, at Purdue, I don't know if you're going to have a chance to really play for a national championship. Now, Micah Parsons at Penn State, they're a really good team. And so I guess it comes down to the fact that the guy take any cash. You know, if they took cash from an agent, they did different things. Now they're going to be eliminated from that opportunity unless they want to pay it back, which they probably don't have the money to do it anyway. And so those guys will be out. I think the 2 guys, Shaun Wade and Wyatt Davis from Ohio State, they could come back if they want to. That'll remain to be seen if they how they feel about it. You know, Bateman up in Minnesota, should he choose to come back? Minnesota, I think, is a viable, you know, Big Ten championship team. Can they beat Ohio State? I don't know, but that's an opportunity there. I see some, but I don't think all these guys are coming back. I think some have been gone for too long, and they're just probably ready to move on.
You know, it's been very interesting watching that first weekend of college football because this year doesn't count. So you got like freshmen coming into the game and playing, and the coaches are like, well, normally you can only play them in 4 games so they can still redshirt, but this year, if we're up, like West Virginia had this freshman quarterback play, and they're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. He'll be able to be a freshman next year anyway. So I wonder if they're going to keep that, maintain that now. I mean, there's a lot to be figured out, and they only have 8 weeks to do an 8-week schedule, which is very aggressive to think about. Connor, what do you got?
General, now that you've won the war in the middle of the country, will you turn your sights west and try and help the Pac-12 get back? And thank you for your service.
Oh, goodness. I would love to help the Pac-12. My problem is, I mean, I know a lot of coaches, I know a lot of administrators and people within the Big Ten, and I feel like that's probably where my footprint is. A lot of it's self-awareness, know what you're good at, know what you're not.
That's our general.
Help those guys a little
general.
bit. I don't think I would be an advocate out there. If there's someone from the Pac-12 that wants me to help them, I would do all I could to help assist and drive the Army out there. But my Army is more regionally based, and I think the secret, to success, fight a one-front war. Know what you're good at, stay there, and stay within your own guardrails.
You'll do some consulting in the war world, though, if you have to. If you need to get called in, you'll do some consulting.
Captain Sanchez.
That's why I got it. Captain Sanchez and General Bob Carpenter.
Oh, man.
Fighting against a legislator over there.
What can stop him?
Oh, my God. I don't know if anybody else cares, though. What's going on?
No, yeah, I was just curious if you, General, if you had heard anything in regards to, like, if players had signed with agents, if they will be able to make the decision now that they can come back and play.
Old buddy Michael Turk, the punter last year, I think he left early. I don't know if his name's Michael Turk or he was a punter for Arizona State last year. Decided to leave early to go to the draft. Went to the combine and everything. He did not get drafted. They allowed him to go back to college. So I wonder if he signed with an agent or if he took any money or if he was just like, I'm going to go see this out. And he was like the first one that they let back. And basketball, you can do that all the time. Oh, I'm going, I'm leaving. I didn't get drafted. Shit, I'm coming back. That happens all the time. In football, they never let that happen. I wonder if they're loosening that up now, especially for those guys that are, premier players. I wonder if they're loosening that rule up at all.
I would think they would, Pat. I mean, as long as
so,
you didn't take money. Like, that's the big thing. It's signing with an agent. What does that do? Not a whole lot. It's the fact that you sign with the agent, and then those guys usually give you some cash to help out with the draft process, or they have training or different things like that. Those are usually the bigger issues. So as long as nobody took any impermissible benefits, I think everybody would be okay, and the NCAA would make an exemption based upon how poorly this was handled. You couldn't give these guys any guidance because no one knew anything.
Yeah, there was a lot of miscommunication, no communication. There was a lot of confusion. I mean, but you led your Army through tough waters. And here we are on the other side, screaming victory as if we're, what's his face, Drama from Entourage.
Johnny Drama.
Yeah, congratulations, Johnny Drama. General Bob Carpenter. Hey, appreciate you, Bob.
Thanks, Patrick, man. Anytime.
You got it. Hey, he is yoked, by the way. He was wearing a tank top this time. Full skin, full shave of the whole body.
Shredded.
Good tan, absolutely shredded. He's got to be excited. I mean, Big Ten coming back is big news.
Yeah.
36 days of what the hell's going on in the Big Ten. 36 days of the American Conference, the Sun Belt Conference, the ACC, SEC, Big 12 saying we're coming back, putting schedules together, training camps, testing out, by the way, because if you remember at the beginning of all these football players in the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, what we were hearing is a lot of guys would come in, they had like 20, 30 guys who all had it, and they had to get rid of them. And Lane Kiffin told us that there was a couple coaches around the SEC that was like, if we had to have a game today, we would not have enough people. And that's because that was the beginning of the process of getting back into football. If some of these guys have left the program or the program stopped training, they went out, they're going to have to come back in. That's probably why the October 24th thing happened, because you have to leave yourself well, it used to be your life was gone, and then it became 14 or 17 days or 21 days or something. Then it became 14 days, then it became 10 days, and then it became something else. So whatever that day is, I assume coming back in, there's going to be a lot of positive tests coming out of the Big Ten, and then they're going to have to whittle those away, and then they're going to make that 8-week run, hopefully without messing it up too much, because you already got some of the other schools delaying games, moving games. One team was supposed to play Virginia Tech. They're out. Now they play Virginia or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of movement happening, and with no breaks in there at all, zero bumper, zero buffer, it does kind of feel like you're like, well, you want football? Here you go. We'll give it to you then. This is what you want. This is how it's going to be. And we might have to postpone some games, but we can't because Big Ten Championship's here, and this is this. It is very interesting that they're going to make it as hard as possible for it to work. But, boy, they're back. That is a big deal, though, saying we messed up. Saying we messed up and going back. I had a lot of people from Nebraska tweeting me like that I needed to give Nebraska a lot of credit, for fighting this fight. Hey, concur. Nebraska, Iowa, since the very beginning, Iowa, Nebraska, the Ohio State getting on board here for the last 36 days. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation, but normally people in that stature, in that position, will never, ever say like, hey, we fucked up, ever. And this is not them saying they fucked up, by the way. They are not saying that, actually. They're saying, well, it's a much different time now. We're in a different thing. The tests that we were told that we could get that were immediate turnaround tests that potentially really reignited this real conversation, we are not taking those because we're keeping politics out of this. Okay, really mighty of you. Sure. That's way to go. Welcome to 2020, by the way. Politics are in everything. Yeah. Like, that is a hilarious answer to it. But as long as football's back in the Big Ten, I think you have a lot of Big Ten cults that are pumped up about this.
The conversation for a lot of these sports during, this pandemic time is the asterisks on the championship. Do you think there will be an asterisk for this type of championship?
I said it on game day, and I'll say it again.
Yeah.
An asterisk is how I've always called it. And then whenever I did an entire rant on game day, and then Reese afterwards said it right like 5 times straight because I think he was trying to teach me how to say it. And I was sitting there, and he was right, and I was not. And by the way, when I was a kid, I used to say Pittsburgh instead of Pittsburgh. Still do. It's hard not to do it.
That's how we say it.
But it's asterisk, I guess. And Reese said it 6 times.
Is there an X on
maybe
that?
10 times after he was like, yeah, there is going to be an asterisk. And he almost looked at the camera and was like, Pat, you're saying asterisk the entire time. But anyways, Reese is a good guy.
I can't even hear the difference. I'm in a blender right now.
Really?
Yeah. Asterisks.
Yeah, you said both of them there. So it's
That's probably why.
So the end of it is supposed to be like risk, like the game or the feeling. So it's supposed to be asterisk, I guess. I say the tricks.
Yeah.
As
There's
like
an X on
for
the end.
kids.
Yeah.
Asterisks. Yeah, it's not right. It's asterisk. Yeah.
Well, we just say the plural form.
Yeah, well,
I feel like Wetzel the Pretzel just put my brain into one of those.
well, Dan Wetzel put A.J. Hawk to sleep, and in this particular situation, he's probably pumped up the football's going to
yeah.
because he thought there was no chance, by the way.
Yeah.
What is Wetzel the Pretzel doing right now, college football expert Dan Wetzel the Pretzel? That guy had a lot of information and a lot of negativity about Big Ten football coming back when we were trying to pitch potential schools being plucked. By the way, that's where we were at one point. At one point, we were at a place where it was like this school was potentially going to play in the SEC because Ohio State's going to play in the SEC. Okay, Iowa, shout out, congrats, you're now playing in the Big 12 because Iowa State's in there. We thought there was going to be potentially Big Ten schools getting plucked, and everybody told us not going to happen, not going to happen, not going to happen. Then they said this is just what it's going to be. It's going to be spring. It's going to be this. Here we are. They're having their own season, 8-week run, no buffer time at all. Cannot make any mistakes. But the asterisk. The asterisk is going to be one that does what? Whenever you look at something that has an asterisk on it, you're supposed to go to the bottom of the page, right? I don't do a lot of reading, but I do know that the asterisk means look at the bottom of the page because we got to explain some shit about what happened here. Okay, so in this year, asterisk, okay, only played half the amount of games because there was tornadoes every single week. Like there's always something at the bottom that's explaining why this one might be different than anything else. And I said on game day, and I still stand by it. If there's an asterisk next to the 2020 college football champion, and you look down at the bottom, and they're able to properly describe what the fuck happened in 2020 and why there's an asterisk, I think forever people have a lot more respect for the 2020 championship than anything else because I don't think it downgrades it at all. I think it's a complete opposite. If at the bottom of that page, it has 5 lines that basically say, well, in the year 2020, a virus came into the world and shut it completely down. March Madness was canceled. The MLB season was postponed. NBA was playing basketball in bubbles down in Orlando. Like, if they're able to explain everything, and it was 2-3 weeks before season started, the teams even knew they were going to be able to play again. They couldn't have spring practice. They all had to buy in, and if they didn't buy in, then COVID would run wild on the entire thing and shut it down. Games got postponed. Teams had to play different teams, and it wasn't until September 16th that the Big Ten actually said we're going to play, and the college football season had already started. If they're able to lay that out at the bottom of the page, and people look at that and go, well, they didn't earn it then. I think it's a complete opposite. It's like, oh, this team earned it more than anybody else. And if I got a national championship ring in 2020, and they even put the top of it, they didn't put our school name, they put the asterisk up there, I'd be like, hey, look at this son of a bitch. And I would keep it moving. We have to get to a break 26 minutes into the first hour here. We'll take some phone calls on the other side. 1-888 Mad Dog 6. And we have a lot of things to talk about. Sidebar, Fox. Hey. Yeah! A lot of things to talk about. The Big Ten is back. The Big Ten is back. The Big Ten is back. But for how long? We got great guests like Taylor joining us, Ryan Kerrigan of the Washington football team, AJ Hawk, your calls, and much, much more. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, September 16th. Ladies and gentlemen, although McDonald's got rid of the all-day breakfast, and last night I wanted an Egg McMuffin when I was on some great vitamins, today they debut the Spicy Nug. Put a little ketchup on there, obviously. Yeah, not bad. Pretty good. I mean, it tastes a lot like a McDonald's nugget. There's a little kick there at the end. I mean, I would still like an Egg McMuffin at potentially 10:30, maybe a McGriddle, a lot of people said. Spicy nugget, not too bad, though. Congrats, Golden Arches. You get rid of one thing to bring in another. I respect it.
There's a grown man with face paint on it. So you're Big Nut.
I am, and you're Little Nut.
Well, I've had a few of those in my life. Hey, I'll tell you what, Big Nut. I hope to find you one day on my wedding night. Big Nut!
Little Nut!
You did a great job, too. The lines are straight. No DUI problem there. You're really doing a great job here, sir. Hey, Big Nut, I love everything you're about, bud.
Because we are going to win the game.
He just spit in my mouth while saying that.
The most likely team to make the college football playoff is the team that is in Columbus.
He said khakis are way too close to that team from up north. If you don't put black pants on right now, you're going to get booed out of Columbus. So I went with the black. Makes me look thin. And whenever I say 2 letters, the place goes crazy. O-H! Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie George. That offense, though, led by Justin Fields. He has 41 touchdowns accounted for, only 1 turnover. I don't know how he isn't the Heisman favorite right now.
Well, he certainly has a chance to make a stick at that today, certainly next week.
He's supposed to be in Penn State, and Mike McQuarrie told me I wasn't Penn State material. Okay, Herbie was your quarterback. He was a senior. You were a freshman. What was he like as a teammate?
Oh, he was great, man. Big shoulder pads. Kurt could run for days back in the day.
We have a guy that can break every single bone in my body. Steve Bay, how you doing, boss man? They're down 6-1. She wants to flex on the gram. He says, lady, we are getting slaughtered by the Pittsburgh Penguins. No.
Doing it for the brand. It's the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
You're damn right. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. Some breaking news out of the NFL. Not really breaking. I guess it broke a little bit ago. Richard Sherman, Super Bowl champion 2 times. Nope, 1 time. 1 time?
2 times.
2
One
times.
with Seattle.
Yeah, they didn't win.
Oh, 1 time.
1-time Super Bowl champion Richard Sherman, the man who negotiated his own contract, perennial All-Pro, in the conversation for best cornerback of all time. There's probably 5 people in that convo. I'm not giving my opinion on said thing there. I'm just saying one of the best corners in football right now and has been for a long, long time. The San Francisco 49ers announced this morning they are putting him on IR. Apparently, he had a flare-up in a leg issue in IR this year since COVID is a little bit different, and they want to be able to keep the roster fluid. IR is now, you're allowed to return after 3 weeks as opposed to the normal 6 to 8. I forget what it was before that. This year, players can go on IR, their roster spot opens up, and then they can return in 3 weeks, which I hope they keep, by the way, around post-COVID football because that makes teams better. It kind of makes guys' careers a lot better because sometimes guys will get deemed to go to IR, so they open up a roster spot, but they don't want to cut the person. They still want to get them paid. And then that person could have came back with 8 weeks of football left, but instead their entire season is kind of poop because they had to put them on IR because at one point you were only one person allowed designated to return. Now this year, because of COVID, 3 weeks you can come back if you get put on IR. I think it makes football much better. It makes teams much better. I think it's a good idea, and I think everybody, if you're a 49ers faithful or just a football fan in general, is hoping that Richard Sherman doesn't have something serious that IR would normally call for in the past, and this year's just a different IR, and that he comes back in 3 weeks and plays the football. Although Kyler Murray beat that Niners defense week 1, they're missing a very valuable piece of that thing in Richard Sherman for at least the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, they've had some injury issues because they, what's his name? Debo's out too on IR.
Debo Samuel.
They don't know if Kittle's going to play this weekend. The back-to-back run of the Super Bowl has not started the way that they would want to.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how you're playing now or who's healthy now. It's all about who's healthy in the end, Ty. Who is healthy in December going into January? And obviously, you want to end up down there in February.
With him already having an Achilles injury a couple years ago,
tough, yeah.
Are they worried that this is like a lingering thing that will last all year?
I have no idea, but I do know that Tom Pelissero, I believe, tweeted after this report came out, and he said, from my understanding, and by the way, Tom Pelissero dunked on Connor, so he's not that big of a nerd, actually. He actually posterized Connor a couple of weeks ago. He said, from my understanding, this is a flare-up of an old issue from 2017. 2017 was the year that he tore his Achilles, and I'm not just sure you have a flare-up on your Achilles, and I would hope that that is not happening. Achilles is such a that's a nightmare and a heartbreaker for people because it happens normally non-contact. It just kind of pops off. Here you go. You can't even hold your foot. And the rehab is a nightmare. A couple years ago, he had a torn Achilles. He got that thing fixed. They're saying it's a flare-up, so maybe it's like a bruise around there or something. But that is something that is a cause for concern. But I've always been, with my non-educated, non-medical degree having brain, never being in a medical class, rarely going to a doctor, thought that if the Achilles is going to go, it's going to go. Like I don't know if there's anything you can do to stop it. I've seen some of the most in shape humans tear their Achilles. I've seen some people who are absolutely in the worst shape ever not tear their Achilles, and then I've seen some people in between. I don't understand the Achilles. I do know that son of a bitch got dipped in that river of immunity by his Achilles, and that's where he ended up dying from back in the day. But I don't know. I think if it's going to go, it's going to go is kind of how I view it, and that is somebody who does not know shit about medicine or injuries. So I hope he's all right. He is an electrifying foosball player.
The 3-day IR rule, do you think they're going to keep that?
3 week IR?
3 weeks, sorry.
I hope they do, yeah. I hope they do. I don't know if they will, but I really do hope they do. It's just so much better because team roster management is something that is not easy to begin with. Where you got salary caps and you got this, you got that. And a lot of special teams guys who they don't want to get rid of, by the way, they put them on IR because it's like, hey, you're probably going to be out for the next 7 weeks. We can't hold a roster spot for you because you're just a teamer for us, but we don't want you to leave. So we're going to put you on IR. We'll get you paid. And that person could have been back probably for the last 5 weeks, which is the most important football that you have. And instead, you got somebody who's very good that the public doesn't even know exists that could have been on, but since the rule was only one player can be designated to return, or once you go to IR, you can't come back. I like the evolving IR that the NFL has because it's like what in baseball, the DL.
Yeah,
sons of bitches come back whenever they want, right? Yeah,
I mean, there's multiple different stages. There's like the 10-day DL, the 20-day DL, the 30, 40, 50, 60. So even if a guy is very seriously injured, a lot of times he can come back sooner than he may have beforehand.
I think the NFL keeps it. I hope they do. But that is a massive move if they do, by the way, for every team. And every GM will be like, thank God. Because when you put somebody on IR, you lose them. Or you can injury waive them, which means somebody else can pick them up and deal the rehab. Or you keep them on the roster and they take up a very valuable spot that you don't have. I mean, it's very difficult. When people get injured, it is very, very difficult for teams. And I like this new one. Let's go to Hunter in Pennsylvania. What's going on, Hunter?
Hey, Pat. How's it going? I'm in my dorm room at the beautiful Penn State University.
Oh, nice.
With my For the Brand flag.
Oh, my God.
And I want to know how good you think Penn State's going to do this year.
James Franklin was one of the big voices about football coming back, and he was kind of, I think, told to shut up. James Franklin was very, very vocal about Big Ten football coming back early, as was, by the way, Harbaugh. Michigan. And those two were told very quickly to kind of go ahead and keep it down. You can't talk as much. He was on game day this past weekend. James Franklin was one of the coaches representing the Big Ten on game day when they had like a Big Ten Pac-12 coaches Zoom. It was just a Zoom call. Hey, they called it something, but it was a Zoom call. They were all sitting on there. David Shaw was there, and I forget who else.
Whittingham, the Utah head coach.
Utah head coach, and they were sitting there. It was Ryan Day, James Franklin, David Shaw, and Whittingham for Utah, and they were sitting there. And these are just 4 miserable coaches who have to go on College Game Day now and talk about everybody else playing football, but they're not playing football. And James Franklin, when he was asked, he was like, look, you heard him, you watched him try not to bury people that were making decisions and watch him try not to point out that there's football being played right now. College Game Day is on location somewhere, but we're not allowed to play. But he took a high road. He was like, we would just like to know why the decision was made. If you could tell us why, so we could relay that message to our players that are pissed off at us, their families that, by the way, we went into their households, told them that we were going to be able to take care of their sons come school here. If you could tell us why we aren't playing and everybody else is playing, why our players who are some of the most highly recruited, highly sought after football players in some of the most sophisticated technology stadiums and practice facilities, why we can't play, but like the Sun Belt can play, that's basically what James Franklin said. So I think James Franklin likes his team. I think he likes his squad. But that Penn State team always feels like a team that just has to go play Ohio State at some point, and it's just problematic. And that's the Big Ten story for every team, basically.
Well, and to your point, like I'm sure every school was dealing with it, but it seemed like Penn State and Michigan had to deal with more bureaucratic bullshit because their doctor was the one that came out and was like, hey, if you play, 85% of players are going to have, a fatal heart issue due to COVID.
Oh, yeah, that was Penn State's guy.
Exactly.
Then he had to walk that back, by the way.
But that was still the one that everyone went to.
Yeah, Michigan and Penn State. Jim Harbaugh wrote that entire thesis on how they were operating at one point, and then he just kind of slowly disappeared. Yeah. He's like, okay, I won't say anything else, but I did just put out a 4-page fucking statement that they can sit on for however long I want to sit. It was interesting the way this was all handled. You could see the powers that be at the top coming down being like, and we did vote, by the way, and we voted against it. So stop saying we want to see who voted. It's going to make you look bad or whatever.
And to your point, they haven't been updated, but the odds when they came out back when the Big Ten was still playing, Ohio State was obviously the favorite to win the Big Ten, and then Michigan, and then Penn State was third.
Yeah, but Ohio State is just a powerhouse.
The king.
They really are. Yeah. And there's really nothing anybody can do about it until they can keep up recruiting-wise, coaching-wise, everything like that. And I don't know if you can, just with the way that thing's going. You know how you would have been able to do it? If the Big Ten just took a year off and everybody else played, because then it becomes a very level playing field. And then the Big Ten becomes like, hey, we all decided football didn't really matter. Remember? We all did. So you want to come play for us?
PJ Fleck, Sky Umar, the boat, they're building something.
He hasn't said a single thing over there, by the way, throughout this entire process, because I do believe Minnesota was probably very against it. If I had to guess, this is just outside looking in. He has not said much about this entire process. He's kind of stayed quiet. And then today they released an official statement and said, we're back. They were top 10 this year, I think, ranked before the season.
They were for a while.
I think they were top 10, top 15 Minnesota. Yeah. And they had a great team. They lost old buddy Junior Winfield. Yeah, now he's starting, by the way, playing great football. He's gone. I think they still have their weapons and still have their quarterback,
wide receivers,
which is good for them. But yeah, Minnesota could be a great football team this year as well. Will Michigan just disappoint yet again? Is that what's going to happen up there? Will James Franklin and Penn State be able to win the big games instead of the games you always go, why didn't they win this game? Or will it be the same old song and dance Ohio State boat races, the Big Ten? I think we're all excited to see it.
You just mentioned it. Do you think now that the Big Ten is playing, is there any way the Pac-12 will ever be able to recover from this? Because with the wildfires, it seems like they're just not going to play this year. But if they're the only ones, can they ever recover from this?
So the wildfires, obviously, T's and P's to everybody that's battling that. It is incredibly scary and something I've never experienced in my life. And watching it, it looks like an absolute nightmare. And it is relentless. It just see you later to everything. So T's and P's, everybody dealing with the wildfires. And now that I've said that, and I want to let you know I'm on the human side of things. When it comes to the football side of things, man, I went up there and called that Stanford-UCLA game, there was 27 people in the stands, and that was pre-COVID. Yeah. By the way, that was pre-COVID.
Beautiful night, too.
Beautiful night, perfect night. There was nobody there. And we talked to David Shaw at Stanford. He was an incredibly impressive guy, the coach. Great conversation, good chatter. And he was like, we don't get talked about much over here in the Pac-12. And I started I didn't really know the lay of the land college football much. And then you start looking around and it's like, nobody gives a damn about Pac-12 football. It used to be awesome too. Back when USC was humming, Oregon was humming. UCLA even way back in the day was good. There used to be, Stanford was good for a long time. They had luck, obviously, they went in there. Now it's just like, who's where. Well, the only thing I know about over there is David Akers' kid is punting for the UCLA team.
Really?
Yeah. David Akers' kid is punting for UCLA. And that's, for me, that was the biggest news of the Pac-12 this offseason when it came to football.
Well, and like Utah is one of the best teams in the conference. And I was surprised I saw on game day their head coach has been furloughed, and like a bunch of the athletic department. I don't know if that's commonplace with a bunch of other Pac-12, but if their head coach of the football team's furloughed, chances are they're not going to be playing anytime soon.
Power conference, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Who gets deemed power conference? Who doesn't get deemed power conference? Because the Big East ran out of time. Guess what we did? All we did was win BCS bowls back in the day.
And how many sports are these Pac-12 schools are going to have to get rid of, too? Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to cut so many programs because the only one that makes money is football, and they're not playing football.
Well, I saw the way CNN shaped that one time, the way they stated that. It's very interesting. I think that whole world's going to change as well, the whole Title IX, and I think that's going to change because of COVID. And it had a great run, Title IX. Very important thing, by the way. Give opportunity to everybody.
Sure, Foxy.
But it does, it's true, if you didn't listen to the show, the Foxy's alter ego called Loser Foxy.
I don't know how that got brought up here. My goodness.
Well, Title IX, that's how. Foxy said some disparaging
No, I did not. You guys just need to get a little bit educated on the WNBA.
We're not getting into it.
We're not getting into it.
It's a podcast called The Pod, and you can hear a bunch of people yell about it at the beginning. But the office got very contentious yesterday. There was a new game created in the office. There was a battle. There was sweat, and there were two champions, and it's me and Tone Diggs. The belt is right on Diggs' desk.
Foxy,
Congratulations to you guys.
Foxy, cut to it.
There it is.
Thanks.
We have a belt, but it got very contentious. But Title IX was obviously very important for a long time. A lot of things happened because of Title IX, whether it was sports being kept, sports being canceled, sports being moved, scholarships being lost, schools getting fined. There was a lot that Title IX really changed the game for. In a positive way, some people say, okay, did it really prove its point or serve its purpose? I think it did, but I do believe COVID is going to potentially come off the top rope on Title IX, I think. I think it's going to have to, just strictly because where's it? Well, they're still charging students full price. I mean, kid's in his dorm room right now paying full price. I don't even know if he can go to his class. I don't even think he's allowed to leave his dorm. He's paying right now to be on house arrest at the dorm because he's not allowed to go out. I mean, they're making money, I guess. They will always make money, but sports bring in a lot of cash. Speaking of cash, I think I saw a tweet. The NFL teams, how much money they lost this past weekend because of the no fan situation in the games. It's a lot of money these teams are losing. It is an alarming amount of cash these teams are on both sides of the play. It's like, damn, they make that much money every single week.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, they lost that much money. What's this going to do to the salary cap next year? My first question was strictly football based. Let's stay out of the business side of this. The Dallas Cowboys allegedly will lose, without fans in attendance, $77 million a game. The New England Patriots, $39 million. The Giants, $32 million.
That's a game.
The Giants... I don't know how the Giants. I guess because
I thought that was a yearly figure.
No, yeah.
I see it now.
Revenue lost without fans in attendance. This accounts for tickets, concessions, sponsors, parking, and merchandise. Nah, maybe that's whole year.
No, because it's not right there per game. Right?
Oh my!
So
Houston Texans, $27 million. New York Jets, $27 million. So on Monday night, you watched the Giants lose $32 million. But Herbstreit, Fowler, and Maria Taylor were there. I mean, we didn't talk about it. And also, you watched them lose the game. So a lot of these teams, for instance, New York Jets, I mean, they're going to lose $27 million for every home game they have and probably lose, by 50 to 60 points every time. And still have Adam Gase as their head coach. I mean, that's going to be problematic. The Houston Texans, $27 million. They're a good squad, though. I mean, we'll see. New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, they can charge whatever they want because Cowboys are America's team. Still look like the America's team from the last couple of years. Kind of lost. But they can charge them however much money they want to charge. And the New England Patriots, we win. So here you go. You got to pay a little bit more premium. This accounts for tickets, concessions, sponsors, parking, and merchandise. I did not know the NFL game day operation was bringing in $77 million a day for the Dallas Cowboys.
What are the prices at the Cowboys Stadium?
It's
Sweet
got
Jesus.
Those luxury boxes.
Those luxury boxes that are on the field, it's huge. It's
Parking,
over 100,000 people were able to be there. Parking, sponsorships, I would assume that they have all over the place. And let's not even talk about the amount of money getting tipped to the go-go dancers that are up there in a box in the sky. There's a lot of money. And by the way, also, Jerry Jones built that with his own money.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he doesn't have to pay out to anybody, right? Because I would assume there's other places that take taxpayer money or whatever. They probably have to divvy up the amount of money that they get and probably, pay a fee. Jerry Jones built that whole damn thing with his own money, so he just gets to rake in every single dollar that comes in there every weekend.
God.
$77 million. That means the salary cap's going to look a bit different, though, I think.
How much do you think the electricity bill for a game is?
Oh, I'm not getting into this.
Who do you think would be last on that list?
Probably the Lions.
Falcons.
Is that why you asked the question?
No, I was going to say maybe the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Falcons.
No, Jaguars, you got to remember, they're still charging for the cabanas at the pool and everything like that. The Lions, I think, would be...
No, come on. Don't say that about Detroit fans.
No.
All right?
Detroit fans are good people. They're great people. But they couldn't have raised the prices much over the last 20 years because there hasn't been much to do. Like those teams you look at, New England Patriots, prices have rose because of how good they were, right? So everything goes up. Oh, you want to come watch the Patriots? Okay, your beer's now going to be $45 per sip. Like that is something that happens. Cowboys, I think it's because he doesn't have to divvy out the cash because he owns the entire stadium himself. Giants, I guess that's just New Jersey. If you're in New York, New Jersey, you're there. Houston Texans, teams got good. Here we go. Now we're good. Prices can go up. That's kind of how the business operates.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, I'd say it's probably the Detroit Lions.
I do remember seeing a season ticket holder package is not very expensive. Like I was comparing it to Zito's Chicago Bears ticket holder, and it's way different.
Well, and also, I guess Mansouri just told me in my ear that the Cowboys are going to have 25% capacity. So I guess you got to do the math there. Whatever 75% of $77 million is what they're losing this year if they do 25%. And now you got to hope that 25% is your biggest spenders, which I think it would be. It'd be your season ticket holders, your suite holders, probably the drunks, the booze hounds.
Right.
They're probably going to be in there at some point. So 75% of that is what they're losing. Actually, what's going on?
Do you think teams are looking at that figure today and being like, oh shit, maybe we should have been a little bit more cognizant of our spending?
I don't think those particular owners are. Who owns the Texans?
Bob McNair's dead. It's not him anymore. It's in that family.
Jeez.
I believe.
Janice McNair?
Is it in the family?
Oh, Jan?
Do they spend money? I don't know. They got rid of Nuke, I guess. They got rid of him. I don't know.
Just paid to show him.
So the teams that are spending money right now, I think their owners are all in. They don't really care. Like, hey, we'll deal with that later. We'll deal with whatever we got to deal with down the road. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. Whenever they're thinking about fining us like 4 picks because we're $70 million over the cap, we'll figure it out then. That's kind of the way it goes. What's up?
I did find the full Forbes list. And these figures are calculated based off the 2018 season. So the bottom 2 teams have gotten new stadiums. So I assume it changes. They were the Raiders and the Chargers. But then after that, the bottom was Bengals, Bills, Titans, Colts, Browns, Lions.
Wow. Let's go to Zach up there in Canada. Zach, there was a question raised by Nick Moraldo before the show about Canadians potentially being the stooges of our planet. Do you agree with that or not?
The biggest lie, because I would say Nick Moraldo's the biggest stooge.
Oh, Frankie boy.
I don't know what I did to deserve this. Just because we happen to have the biggest Canadian stooge in the office and Gump, who doesn't know a goddamn thing about anything that happens in Canada, I get blamed for it. But
or the world.
It's all right.
Or the world. But Gumpy is oblivious to anything that is potentially happening. And I'm watching videos of these Canadians saying very dumb things. I mean, very, very dumb things. And I love it, by the way. Ignorance is bliss. Bring them on in. I love the Canadians. What do you want to talk about, brother?
We got obligatory Cowboys talk because they fucking stink. They're fucking terrible.
Okay, good guy. Thank you. Hey,
there it was.
Hey, we did it.
Thank you, pal.
Check that box off.
Hey, week 1. Let's not overreact. AJ Hawk said they're going to win a Super Bowl. Let's go, Jordan in Indiana. What's going on, Jordan? That's a tall task.
There's no chance.
They're losing $77 million a day. You think anybody's happier?
Washington football team's in first, baby.
Jerry Jones is holding his hand over his heart, and people are like, "Well, why'd you hold your hand like that?" Well, he lost 77 fucking million.
His hand's cramping. His hand's cramping.
What's going on, Jordan?
What's going on, boys?
Just hanging out, man. Good. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I tried calling in on Monday. I wanted to wish Mama McAfee a happy birthday.
Oh, nice.
And, I wanted to thank her for, giving birth to a damn legend.
Well,
but besides that, before I go and friggin' say this, because I know you guys are going to hammer me about the Steelers absolutely whoop their ass. And you guys think that with Saquon Barkley, with his contract coming up, with Dalvin Cook and Kamara getting their 63, 64 mil, do you think that it's kind of far-fetched that Barkley might get around 90 mil?
Very interesting. I haven't even thought about Saquon Barkley's monetary value he's going to get whenever he goes up. When's he a free agent?
I'm pulling it up right now. He was he rookie 2 years?
Yeah, next year would be his 4th.
Yeah,
he's under contract through 2021, so he's got this season and next season.
And they'll probably be able to pick up his option, right, for another one. Yeah. So he's going to be around the Giants for a long time. And I would assume Joe Judge is going to have to, and Jason Garrett are going to have to figure out how much Saquon's worth to them, while also trying to figure out how do we get humans that can block for him? Yeah. And if I'm Saquon, I would assume Saquon is bought in. Saquon told Herb Street and Fowler and Maria that he's bought into the Joe Judge old school mentality. Like, we need this. Like, we need this. Saquon Barkley has not been a drama or drama heathen at all for the Giants. He's been very like, I'm going to go to work. But I would assume the business people around Saquon are probably like, we're going to get the fuck out of here in a couple weeks. We like the big market. We love this. Not a couple weeks, couple years. We are going to get out of here and probably go find a team that can block for him. But who knows? In 3 years from now, the Giants might be in a very different place. I don't even know if that's it. Let's assume Saquon Barkley is going to get paid. I just don't know if it's by the Giants or somewhere else. And in 2 years from now, whenever he'll probably be up for an extension or another year after that, who knows what the market's going to be. We just saw how much money's getting lost every single game day for these teams. I would assume it's going to be a different role, but Saquon's going to get rich.
For sure.
He's going to get rich somewhere. I just don't know where.
Build around Big Dan Jones. Guy's throwing absolute seeds all over the goddamn field.
He looked unbelievable. Danny Dimes looked very good.
Yeah.
But if you're going to build your team at all over there in New York, I would be focusing directly on the 5 dudes that are bent over before a play is started. That's what I would be like. All right, you know what? We got Danny Dimes. We saw what happened over there in Indianapolis with old Andrew Luck. Let's go ahead and try not to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to make this guy enjoy football a little bit. That could be fun.
Makes sense.
That's what I would do if I was them. But I'm not them, and I'm not running the team.
Could be.
As the original silicone wedding ring, Kalo has mastered comfort, functionality, and style. Designed to be worn during all of your everyday activities, it is the perfect alternative for those who live in an active lifestyle. The Kalo ring is an alternative to the traditional wedding band, which in many cases is not best to be worn during everyday activities due to safety concerns. Those who work with their hands and those who use their hands around uneven objects often risk injury when their rings get caught on objects and don't let go, like the fall-down drunk Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He almost ripped his finger off on his kitchen island.
He's not the only one, though. Happens a lot. I learned it almost happened to old Tim McAfee back in the day.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's scary. Since I got married last month, I've been wearing a Kalo. That is true. And it is much more comfortable than traditional ring, which is true. I never wore rings before I got married. So when that metal ring went on my thing, it was messing with my middle finger. It was messing with my pinky finger. And I did feel it hitting things. I'm like, well, this is too nice for me to be wearing around and bashing on things. So I put the Kalo ring on, and it has been on my hand ever since, literally since day one. You get 20% off your entire order when you go to QALO.com and use promo code Pat McAfee. That's PATMCAFEE. Yes, full name. That is Kalo.com, and use promo code Pat McAfee for 20% off. Rings start as low as $19. It's a no-brainer to try out. I've been very thankful for Kalo. I wear it every day. They have different styles. They have different colors, different sizes, everything you could potentially need. Very cheap, 20% off. Promo code Pat McAfee at QALO.com. Hour 1 wrapping up. Big Ten football is back. We talked about the monies. We talked about all that. We got Ike Taylor joining us in the second hour. Ryan Kerrigan still to come. And a lot of beautiful conversation. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Wednesday, September 16th. 1-888 Mad Dog 6. We'll talk to you on the other side. That country song stunk. Didn't it? While I was talking, I was like, oh, this is a snooze fest here. This is a little bit of a snoozer here. Zito, what are the updates to our poll currently? Who should be celebrating the hardest for the Big Ten coming back on the internet? Who should be victory lapping the most?
So right now, the worst is Kevin Warren.
No, the commissioner.
People don't like him.
A man in his first year who had to make a decision to postpone football, and then 36 days later has had to make the even more difficult decision to no longer postpone it because of circumstances. I think he does deserve a little bit of credit. I'm not sure a lot of commissioners that be able to back off of their conviction like that.
And then we got picketing parents at 14%.
Wow, I don't think that is being respected enough. Whenever you got a bunch of old whites up there with signs marching outside of the hell no, we won't postpone out front of the Big Ten football conference or Big Ten conference offices in Chicago, I think that potentially, because that's in your face.
Yeah.
On Twitter, you can mute words. You can kind of block accounts. But whenever you walk to and from work and you got people with signs and they're yelling in your face.
During a pandemic.
During a pandemic with no mask. I mean, that'll really change your mind on some things or open your eyes to some stuff. Potentially COVID, but also maybe a new way to look at some things.
Yeah, and then very shocking, the General's Army has not came through all the way.
Wow.
He's at 34%.
Wow, that's not bad.
And then Sir Yacht's Army, 49% leading the charge.
Well, Sir Yacht, I'll tell you what, Sir Yacht, since the very beginning, has been chiming the horn that every single day they were going to turn over the thing. And I think the source that he had potentially was telling him that was the case.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people went out and said this Yacht fella completely wrong with what he's saying. Sir Yacht never backed down. Sir Yacht took a lot of hell on the internet. He was wrong a lot of the time. But he was right about the overall sentiment, which I do think does deserve a little bit of a Sir Yacht.
Yeah. Say enough things, one of them's going to be right.
See, you just took a shot at Sir Yacht. And that's exactly what I was like. I mean, there should be a little accountability from Sir Yacht, because he did say on like 7 or 8 different occasions that football is coming back. But he was just early, baby. Hey, he was just early. He was just early. He had the feeling before everybody else. His source said we're coming back before everybody else. And I think that should still be commended.
I mean, he's a staff sergeant in the General's Army. He's like a radio operator, just hearing what, the general's on the front lines calling in the airstrikes and all that kind of stuff.
It's two very different styles on the offense. General Bob Carpenter was very loud, rallying a lot of troops.
Yeah, give Sir Yacht the Medal of Honor, but, I mean, General Bob won this war.
Well, Kyle in Louisiana, what's going on, bub?
Pat, I got a hot take for you guys on the UFC.
Okay.
All right, so this weekend we got a free fight night. You got Woodley coming off of 2-fight losing streak. And in those 2 fights, he lost all 10 rounds.
Oh.
So people are going to be inclined to bet against him. I'm saying don't.
What?
He's training with Jorge Masvidal right now, the flying knee. Jorge's saying out of camp that he's looking good, and, man, it just takes one right hand from Tyron to knock you out.
All right, so Tyron Woodley, he's saying, everybody's betting against him. Not a bad choice. He lost the last 10 rounds of his last 2 fights.
Yeah.
Those are tough stats.
Big bounce back fight.
Big bounce back fight. I appreciate that. What was that guy's name? I forget. That's on me.
Teddy?
Woodley is plus 285 against Colby Covington.
All right, let's go. Colby Covington. That's he's Thug Nasty? No.
He's basically the MAGA fighter.
Yeah, he's big MAGA guy.
Big MAGA guy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Plays a great heel. Plays a great heel.
Oh, he's like wide open about it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's taking on too many fronts right now. I am, because every day he's getting attacked at some point. I would assume that, okay, I'm definitely on that.
Yeah.
Plus 285, there's no way that guy's been able to handle, every single time he opens his phone, he's being attacked, I would assume, Colby Covington.
Probably. I think he relishes it, though.
Oh, so you think this has made him better?
I think he loves it.
He's leaning in. He's leaning very hard.
He's fueled by it.
Oh, no.
Pouring the gasoline
So
on
is
the
that going to make him win or lose? I don't know. Old buddy said Tyron Woodley's going to win.
Masvidal.
Is he fighting this week?
Training with Masvidal.
Oh.
No, he's training.
Masvidal hasn't been training, though, he said. So he hasn't been training with
And
Masvidal.
didn't look great in his last fight either.
Well, he only got like 4 days.
Yeah, come on.
All right, we got a minute. I'm going to go run to the bathroom. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. We'll be back in 45 seconds.
McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
while being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Oh. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here, hour 2 on this Wednesday, September 16th. Jerry Sandusky is currently trending on Twitter.
Oh, boy.
Nebraska.
Well, that was Joe Paterno.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Sandusky, Larry Nasser, and a lot of other interesting, terrible decisions that have been made by the Big Ten are obviously being talked about in this monumental day for Big Ten football, no longer postponing it to the spring and keeping it in the fall. Ty, you have something to say?
Yeah, there was a beat reporter who said, like, something along the lines of, like, unpacking the Big Ten's darkest day ever, and a lot of people immediately were like, don't you remember Jerry Sandusky and Larry Nasser? Like, not really the darkest day ever.
Yeah, by the way, Jerry Sandusky's situation rattled the entire world whenever they heard of that type of evil. And being in Pittsburgh with a lot of Penn State people, it became quite a talking point. And then the HBO series that came out on the other side did not do Penn State any favors at all about that whole thing. And then obviously Michigan State's proud doctor Larry Nasser and everything. What's that?
Not proud.
Yeah, right. You guys were dancing him around everywhere.
I thought he had a statue at
Let's
Michigan
put the
State.
Spartan on this guy. Let's make him. Let's send him out to here. Let's make a documentary about this guy. Let's do this about this guy. Let's put him in. He'll be the face of Michigan State, basically, at one point. And it turns out he's one of the most despicable humans to ever exist. Shout out.
It's terrible.
It's not good. But yeah, all that's getting brought up now because Big Ten football is back. No longer postponing the season to the spring. It's a big day here on this Wednesday, September 16th. Now, we are the type of show that likes to judge the judgers. Do we do judging? Yeah, I think we probably are in the judging community, but we try to be as nice as possible to everybody. But whenever there's power rankings put out, we have to talk about it. And ESPN put out their first NFL power rankings yesterday after week 1 of action. Who do they have on top? Who do they have at the bottom? What are the top 10? Let's get to it right now. Now, the names have never been released on who does this. It's just ESPN's power ranking. So we don't know if this is one person in Connecticut. We don't know if this is an email chain, a group text, but let's go ahead and talk about it. Number 32, they have the New York Jets. Dead last, worst football team we've ever seen. The head coach, nobody knows how he continues to get head coaching gigs, but somehow he's probably going to run Sam Darnold's career right into the turf that they have over there in the Meadowlands. He tried to play, I guess, Le'Veon Bell after Le'Veon Bell had a hurt hamstring. I mean, that is a nightmare, a catastrophe. I assume it's going to end with a lot of controversy, and it's all going to get blown up, and Sam Darnold will have his third head coach or something like that in his very young career. 31, they have the Bengals, which is very interesting to me because we all know the worst cramp in the history of football took them down. Joe Burrow got hot. He would have had the fourth quarter comeback in his first ever game to win. Offensive pass interference. Randy Bullock gets a cramp in both of his calves from what I've been told now. That is impossible to kick a ball through the uprights. He misses. Carolina Panthers at 30. Interesting. Giants At 29. Dolphins at 28. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 27.
Minshew magic, baby.
Right below the Browns.
They stink worse than the Browns, who scored 6 points this past weekend against the Ravens. So that means that they think absolutely nothing of that game 1. It does not matter. Don't even think about it. We got 15 more games to be. They are who they thought we were, or are they absolutely not that, with Joe Dirt getting picks late and Gardner Minshew throwing dimes, only having 1 incompletion. That team was a lot better than I thought they were going to be, and it was obvious that they were a lot better than the Colts thought they were going to be. The Browns at 26. The Lions at 25. All right.
Eyes are going to be
pretty good for you, right?
Had the lead in the fourth quarter yet again. Washington football team who had a magical comeback victory against the Philadelphia Eagles after Ron Rivera had to get an IV at halftime due to him battling through chemo right now. That team looked very spectacular in the second half, especially with the amount of adversity they have going on in their team. In the game, they were down 17, and in the building that has been exposed 7 times now and is one big-ass bonfire over there in Washington. The Broncos are at 23. That's a little low, I think. We'll find out as the year rolls on. Chargers at 22. Falcons at 21. Chicago Bears, who Mitchell Trubisky might have figured out how to play football again in the fourth quarter. They're at 20. The Texans are at 19. Didn't really get to see much from them because they were playing against a team that's probably going to be the next dynasty. 18, the Colts somehow. I'll tell you, I hope so. I hope they're at 18, to be honest. I hope so. I mean, a lot can change. Phil Rivers is in a new town, everything like that. But that defense did not look great whenever they were fantastic last year. I mean, there's a lot to talk about and a lot to hate and a lot to hopefully love with that Colts team. If they're at 18, I think a lot of people in the Colts nation would be like, hey, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, 18 sounds good. Sure. 17 Raiders, 16 Eagles who give up a 17-point lead. The Cardinals are at 15. I think they should be higher. The Vikings are at 14. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at 13. I believe they're probably top 5. They're probably top 5 before this whole thing started. And it's funny that the Jaguars, with one big win in week 1, nothing really changes. They stay around the same area. One loss to the New Orleans Saints, though. Buccaneers, this team stinks. Drop them out of the top 10. Cowboys are at 12.
Horseshit.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. Oh, it's the best. Like, what made you think that the Cowboys are anything other than the Cowboys last year? Now you got to have hope, I guess, that the talent's going to figure it out. All the injuries, they're going to be able to get over it that they had in the first week, and Mike McCarthy's going to be able to figure it out there. They have them ranked above the Buccaneers. Hilarious. They have them ranked above the Cardinals. Hilarious. They have them ranked above any of those teams, I think, other than the Jets. I think, is a. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
And the Colts, maybe.
And the Colts, yeah. The fact that they're above the Colts, I think, potentially, very warranted at this point. But aside from that, I'm not sure any of those. The Raiders get a big win. Steelers are at 11. Los Angeles Rams are at 10. Patriots are at 9. Titans are at 8. Bills are at 7. San Francisco 49ers at 6 in the top 5. The hottest quarterback in the NFL right now. Guest on our show yesterday, the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers are at 5. Russell Wilson and Seattle Seahawks at 4. Saints at 3. Ravens at 2. And the number 1 team on ESPN's Power Rankings going into week 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Yep. I'll tell you what, they got some things wrong, obviously. They always do. I think they troll on purpose for a couple things, but I think I'd probably match up with a lot of those. I don't think there's a lot of complaints there because top 5, top 5. I mean, the 2 through 5, you're like, all right, yeah, any team there. That's right. Mm-hmm. Although I like the Patriots playing the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football, just strictly because it's Bill Belichick. That's the only reason why I like them. I think that Seattle Seahawks team is going to be obviously very good. It seems like Russell Wilson's at his best. But everybody else in there, we know nothing about any of these teams. Okay, because it's only week 1 into this thing, but I like bitching about people judging people, so that's why we had this entire segment.
Is there any worry about the Saints because Drew did not look great on Sunday and Kamara ran for like 1 yard a carry, or is it a positive for the Bucs that their defense looked that
Well, what you don't understand is that those swing passes, okay, and bubble screens, that's just an extension of the run game, okay? So although his stats say he only had 1 yard rushing, what do you have? 2 touchdowns actually in the extended of the run game. So it doesn't matter how you get Kamara involved, just like Saquon Barkley. He rushed for less yards than Ben Roethlisberger, but if you look at his overall stats on those screens, that's an extension of the run game. Let him get loose, the checkdowns and stuff like that. They should be worried that I guess they didn't have that many rush yards with Alvin Kamara. I did not know that. And Drew was not perfect. And Michael Thomas now is out for a couple weeks because of a sprained ankle that happened in a run play at the end there where he probably shouldn't even been on the field maybe. Hindsight says that. Can't say that at the time. Because he got hurt, you say he shouldn't be on the field. If they would have scored a touchdown, he's celebrating. Like Mike Thomas, great teammate. So I don't want to be in the hindsight world, but Michael Thomas is going to be out for a few weeks, they say, maybe several weeks because of that ankle injury that happened in just a kind of a throwaway play, which is tough. But I think the Saints are always going to be ranked high just because of continuity, Sean Payton, and they win games. They tend to win games. And they got Thomas Morstead, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, who's a jugs machine, the most boring punter in the history of punting, hits the same exact ball every single time, which is the name of the game, punting. That's why the guy's the greatest of all time in my eyes.
Do you think the Saints are hurt by having no fans more than any other team? Because it seems like that, like they really do feed off that atmosphere.
Well, and the other team is completely cooked because of the atmosphere. You got to go to a silent count. Obviously, you have a chance to potentially get to Bourbon Street flu the night before. You know what I mean? There's a lot of options to potentially go in there. They could distract. But that crowd is insane. I mean, the only times I've played down there, they have beat the hell out of us. And normally you see a crowd lose steam or get quiet or leave. They do not. They stay. and they get louder and drunker and more. I mean, it's just, and they have this whistle guy who whistles so loud. I mean, it is, that place is a weapon. It really is a weapon. So I think it does affect some things for them, but everybody's playing on the same field now. Hey, everybody's playing on the same field at this point. Let's go to Lance in Texas. Lance, what's going on?
Hey, man, how are you?
Not too shabby. How are you, bub?
Man, I'm doing well.
Nice.
Awesome.
Good. I'm happy for you, Lance. You know, because in the world that we're in right now, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people maybe aren't at the point where they can give an answer and say, I'm doing well. And here you are, Lance, down in Texas on the phone with a live radio show that is supposed to entertain people, and you're doing well. That is awesome, Lance. I'm very thankful for that. Hey, you know what, Lance? What part of Texas you in, bub?
So I'm actually in Waco, Texas.
Oh, Waco. We love Waco down there.
There's women and children in here, brother.
So that is not what I know Waco for, obviously. I know Waco because Dr. Pepper. Ever heard of it?
The 23 flavors.
Magnolia Farms. Ever heard of them? Chip and Joanna Gaines. And Bears. Baylor Bears. What do you want to talk about, brother?
I was thinking about talking about the U.S. Open, maybe.
Oh, my God, Lance. Nobody cares. Lance, are you kidding me?
The course is treacherous.
What's that?
The course is treacherous.
U.S. Open, is
this weekend?
Goff.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the tennis thing. It just happened.
Different U.S. Open.
Over.
Yeah.
That's the U.S. Open as well, too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can't have the same fucking thing in the same way. Can't have it. Just can't do it. I thought he was wanting to talk about that. I didn't know he wanted to talk about the golf. I thought he was wanting to talk about the tennis. Like, yo, I don't know anything about it. I'm going to be honest. I watch Chris Fowler on there, and I'll watch the ball go back and forth. I'll go, Why do they do that?
More power.
Let out steam. Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
Adrenaline.
absolutely not.
It gives you more power on the ball. I really
does.
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, does it?
It's like when you throw like a shot put, you're supposed to scream at the end of the throw.
Yeah,
it's like
see,
to boost
but if
it
you're
up a
telling
little.
people they're supposed to do it, is it really them exerting all of their effort? Like, I think the amount of screams and the consistency of the screams ruins the actual intent of the screams, which is supposed to be max effort. Like, hey, I know that every single one of your shots, you're not at that level of scream. Like, there's no way you are.
I think the scream is equivalent to like breathing out. There's a documentary called Never Back Down, and they talk about breathing out when you kick. And it's equivalent. So every time you scream, you breathe out.
Like when you bench.
Kick?
Like when you bench, too. Like, no, when you bench, you're supposed to breathe out when you're going up. It's like you're supposed to breathe out.
Yeah, but when you do a bench, you don't walk into a gym and you hear, ha!
Have you been to Planet Fitness lately?
Oh, yeah.
No, there's can't do that Planet Fitness. The alarm goes off.
Yeah, you can't work hard at Planet Fitness. You got a pizza right after your workout.
That's why I went.
Pay us $5 a month, by the way. We're just like a pizza club.
Everybody does.
It was pretty awesome there.
Diggs gained 30 pounds, but love being a member. The golf thing, though, they said they're going to set the course up and say good luck.
It's the Ty. You said the rough.
Yeah, the rough is. Yesterday they took an Arnold Palmer can. I think it's like 24 ounces or whatever, and went out and set it in the rough. And the rough is well above the. So like if you don't hit the fairways, you're fucked.
Oh, so accurate drivers are going to be the ones who win this weekend, which is kind of the U.S. Open's story, right? U.S. Open always tries the golfers. Like they always, every single year, there's always some comment made by a golfer that's like, well, the U.S. Open wants us to fail because there will be like a plus 10 or something, like a plus. There'll be people that'll look like us golfing in the U.S. Open. It happens every single year, and there's always the debate on the internet. Well, should they make the course easier so that it's a little bit more competitive? Because people are going to be pissed off with how bad they do in the U.S. Open this weekend. That is what the U.S. Open is, and the fact that they're stacking this thing up. And I think I don't know if he's the director or what he was. He kind of looked like. This is an obscure reference. There's a guy named Chip something who was in the IndyCar.
Chip Ganassi?
Chip Ganassi. He looks like Chip Ganassi, but he was talking.
He's from Penn Hills.
He's from Fox Chapel, I think.
Or whatever.
Yeah, he's from Fox Chapel, which is the
hoity-toity.
The very wealthy people in Pittsburgh.
A lot of suits, a lot of Pelisars.
They hated Pat McAfee growing up. Yes, there was chants by little children calling me Fat Pat when I was a kid. I mean, that town hated. I did spit on their fox in the middle of their field, though.
Fuck that fox.
Exactly. Yeah. White trash kid coming into the richest place. Just right on it. They did not like me. Keep it moving. But he looked like him. He said the way we set up these courses is we set it up and we say good luck. Like it's the course and the player. Like he basically was just like, we don't try to make this difficult. We just let the course be the course, like it's an extra opponent, and then let the players do their thing. Everybody's playing on the same thing. Keep it moving. U.S. Open is the one every single year though, where the golfers look very, very regular, and that's why I enjoy watching it. To be honest with you, I'm always like, this guy stinks. I can play. All these other courses, they must have They must have greens that just feed into the hole every other week. Because putts will be just rolling right off the green. I mean, the greens are faster than they've ever been. I mean, this is a tough week for golfers, I'd assume. And who drives well?
DJ's the favorite because I assume they're going to thinking he's going to hit long irons off the tee into the fairway and play that. But
smart.
I love watching the U.S. Open, but unfortunately, there is football on this week.
Yeah. We'll hear about it.
Yeah, we'll hear about it.
Hey, we will follow the U.S. Open of golf this weekend on our phones.
Oh, yeah. Bet on Morikawa.
Absolutely. Oh, Morikawa probably, by the way. Does this course fit his eye? Because he told us if it fits his eye, he's basically locked in. He's fifth favorite?
Fifth best odds.
Is there a lot of dogleg rights? Because I believe that is where Morikawa eats.
Oh, yeah.
Big golf show.
I think we just nailed it.
I think we just covered the U.S. Open.
Tiger Woods is playing too.
He is.
I'm worried about him ripping his back.
Tiger is not going to.
That guy cannot find the fairway.
He's not going to do well in that rough.
Like, I love Tiger. I'm here for Tiger. I am a avid Tiger guy.
Small legs.
All the way back. I've said it 10 times. He's got smaller calves than Fox. And the fact that he's as explosive as he is amazing. But he is a scrambler. That's what Tiger Woods is. The reason why he's my favorite golfer is because he played similar to my style, just 100 yards further, and then his second and third shots were about 700 to 800% more accurate than mine. But he was a scrambler that could get around the course. Now, if his driver's locked in for 4 straight days, which I don't think has ever happened for Tiger Woods, he's probably in a good spot. But I don't think this one is particular to Tiger Woods' day.
Yeah, he said after Monday on his practice round, he said he thinks that the winner will be either like 7 or 8 over. So look for Tiger to probably shoot 10 over on Thursday and then withdraw with a back.
Well, the rough, he's going to hurt. He's going to hurt.
That's kind of what
his back in the
Tiger's
rough.
been doing at the U.S. Open.
Let's go. It's terrible. I mean, do you know what your club does when it hits that rough? I mean, that grass might as well just grab that thing and then go through the club into your back and just go. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And the wrist game.
The hands.
Rothersburger.
What are we doing?
Tyler in Arkansas.
He'd crush in the U.S. Open.
He would. I think that's where he's been playing a lot of golf, by the way. Tyler in Arkansas, what's going on? Good wrist game, man. Hey, Tyler, thanks for keeping it down there while you were live, too. You could have chimed in there at any time, and you didn't. We appreciate that type of patience and gentlemen like acts by you.
Hey, man, I'm a big fan of the brand. Anything worth the wait.
Hey, that boy, Tyler. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Well, I'm a big SEC football fan, but life hasn't been good for me. I'm a diehard Razorback fan, so I'm up here to get through that.
What is that? Woo Pig Suey, right?
Oh, yeah.
Woo Pig Suey. All day, brother.
I'll let you know. I like Arkansas as well because our guy, John Daly, T's and P's to him. He's kicking the living hell out of bladder cancer right now. I've watched that man do amazing things, not only with a golf club, but everything else. I mean, we're big John Daly. I've stayed at his house a couple times. Nick has stayed at his house up by himself. We're big John Daly fans, and he's battling right now. So T's and P's to that man. Arkansas's greatest export. But what are you saying about the Razorbacks? Razorbacks are going to stink this year?
Who knows? If we win 3 games, our coach needs to be coach of the year in that brutal schedule.
That's not good. See, that's the type of thing. That's the type of guy right there. And no offense to him, I like his energy. Okay, we went to Arkansas one time. Wasn't allowed to wear a tank top into a bar out there.
Hilarious.
That was a biker bar. I had to go in and buy a Jake Owen concert shirt to put on. It was seafoam green, by the way. It's
great color.
Great color on me. My eyes are good. Popped. Only had a couple sizes though, so I was uncomfortable and it was very hot. And we loved Arkansas though. Got very intoxicated in Arkansas.
Great time. Diggs had a panic attack. You partied with Jake Owen, got kicked off his tour bus, and John served up beers all
I don't know if
we
I
smoked a blunt that was this. It was basically the size of this.
We did smoke the biggest blunt I have ever seen in my life.
Baseball bat?
Oh, dude, it
was a baseball bat. It was an LBJ. It was a 1 pound joint there. Okay. I mean, that thing, whenever the guy walked through the door, he had to turn sideways with it to walk outside.
Cross stick.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Oh, you guys want to smoke or whatever?" And never in my life have I said no to that, especially around people who know me, they know of me, maybe potentially have heard of me. If I say no there, they're going to remember that forever that I said no. And this guy, and he had more.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we smoked that thing. We're all dead, okay? Everybody's dead, including their party, by the way.
Yeah.
I assume the way they tell their story is they put us to sleep. That is not the case, and we have video evidence if we ever get to that case. Everybody was dead, except for the guy that brought that thing out. I don't know what level of durability that guy had or whatever. But he said, you guys want another? Pulled out one that's bigger. And I was like, geez.
What's the carrying case in this the baseball bag?
No, he pulled it out of like a rifle container.
Oh, yeah, like pool cues.
It was like pool cues.
It was insane. Yeah. It was insane. Arkansas was very good to us. But it sounds like their fan base is one that is just ready to hang it up.
I mean, being one of those schools in the SEC, like Vanderbilt, Arkansas, like there's just no hope in sight.
I'm pretty sure Brent Bielema ruined that program.
Yeah, I think
Him
it was
and
Bobby Petrino
there it is,
riding,
Bobby Petrino.
doing cartwheels or wheelies on his motorcycle
with,
someone working in his office.
Oh, jeez.
See, our guy didn't need to be reminded of that, but here you are. Talking about old neck brace Petrino.
There's plenty of stuff with Iowa, too.
Hey, by the way, the bruise on his eye, the bruise on his face, and the neck brace. And they forced him to go out and speak at that time. Like, hey, you just embarrassed your entire family and our entire school, but let's go ahead and put you right here, and you're going to have to face the music. And by the way, you're fired immediately. That was a wild time. Wild time. Let's go to Zach in Iowa. Hey, go Hawks, Zach.
Go Hawks, baby. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Kirk's dogs.
Go Hawks, Zach.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks.
All right. So my question is, I wanted to talk to you about the U-Ball Championship and how Foxy and Connor are doing about getting completely body bagged in it.
Well, I appreciate that, Zach. I'd like to have that conversation. We'll save that for another day. Let's go to Tim in Ann Arbor. By the way, the nicest campus I've ever seen in my entire life. I think billionaires are dating billionaires up there in Michigan. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Oh, no, it's a beautiful campus up here. Hey, long time fans, you guys. You guys are great. Glad to be talking to you today.
Hey, you too, Tim. You talk fast, too. It seems like you got a lot of shit to talk about. What do you want to talk about, bub?
And with the Big Ten not starting for another month, is that going to put teams like Ohio State, who's going to actually contend for title behind teams like Clemson, Alabama, who've already been playing for a while, is going to have a lot of time before we get to the October 24th date?
Great question, Tim. I hope you have a good time up there in Michigan. I believe he's probably locked in like a mansion up there.
Sweet.
I think every Michigan student gets their own mansion right now, currently, to kind of keep it down. Like, how do we keep COVID under control? Everybody gets their own house. In Michigan, after visiting there, I was always very confused on why people who went to Michigan always let you know they went to Michigan. Like a very, 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 very proud operation. Mm-hmm. Then you go on the campus and you're like, oh, okay, I would want to say I went here too. There's like 20,000 square foot houses that aren't frat houses, by the way. Those are just people, or like one students walking out there like, oh, let me hop in the Rolls Royce here as a driver. It was unbelievable. Foxy, it was unbelievable.
Ann Arbor's beautiful. Yeah. And hey, there's a reason they're the most arrogant fan base in America. It's right there.
Yeah, it really was. The question, though, really is,
Jay.
That's a
We'll get it done. We'll figure it out.
I mean, that's going to be a problem, though. Because Jay is in that corner back there where I can't see him.
I know. We'll figure it out.
Anyways, yeah, they're going to be judged against those big schools, but I do believe they'll still remain in the conversation, though, which is good, because if they were going to go to the spring, people wouldn't even talk about them. Now they'll have to say, and what's going to happen when Ohio State gets in? What's going to happen when Penn State, Minnesota, Nebraska, whoever, Michigan? They will remain in the conversation, which is all that matters in college football, from what I've learned. As long as they're in the conversation, that's all that matters. And I would assume the first couple weeks, they'll get compared to Clemson's first couple weeks. I don't think they'll be compared at how they are right now. It'll be throughout the season. So I think it'll be fair, actually, for the Big Ten schools, and I think it's actually good for them to remain in the conversation, which they will, because I think they would have disappeared, even though everybody would say, we're not going to not talk about Big Ten and Pac-12 because they are power conferences. I think they would have slowly drifted away from all conversation pieces, if I had to guess. Mm-hmm. Great question by you. We got Ike Taylor, two-time Super Bowl champion, on the other side to talk about his thoughts on opening weekend. And also, is that Pittsburgh Steelers team the best defense since Troy Polamalu and the boys ran around in the back end? People are asking. People are saying. We'll talk to Ike Taylor, big old brain, two-time Super Bowl champ, on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I could see how a guy like Richard Sherman, who's been in the league a long time and has had success, could be like, hold on. This young little isn't going to dap me up. But on the flip side, Baker's like, well, you're enemy number one for me. Because that's how Baker has always operated. And now Richard Sherman says, so you don't see any difference in the way I shake everyone else's hand, and the guy who stands back with the petty shake was BS, and I took offense to it, then turns and runs off. It's not that big of a deal. It swept the nation yesterday. It was controversy like no other controversy in the NFL world. Joining us right now, Richard Sherman. Everything you do and say is going to get talked about. Do you agree?
I would agree.
Baker Mayfield is also a man that everything he does and says is going to get talked about. Do you agree?
I wouldn't agree as much, but sure. So I put my hand out, just out of courtesy. And he gives me a little petty slap on the hand. And I took it as disrespect. People can say, "Oh my God, he shook your hand." Like, what? Oh my God, you were wrong. You can say whatever you want. I don't give a damn.
Is there anything you'd like to say? Like, hey man, I apologize for the misquote there. I did see on video the dap up, although it was a bit petty. I apologize for everything that happened, or are we just moving forward?
Oh, it's gonna be a bit of both. It's definitely my bad. I never want anybody to have to deal with some shit some stuff that they didn't do. And so I'll probably reach out to them via text or social media to actually get a hold of them and talk to them in person. First off, that was a great name y'all came up with, like Dapgate. I was crying laughing. But yeah, he definitely deserves an apology, and that's my bad on that.
Richard, I'll tell you what, bro. To show the humility right there to say, hey, my bad on that entire thing. Once I watched the film back, it was different than what I thought. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot more respect for you. They should at least.
Doing it for the brand. It's the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
That was last second. Got a bumper in, only got in the room about 15 seconds ago.
That's pretty good.
Hey, pretty proud of me. This is a real professional show with real advertisers. And let me tell you about an advertiser that we have right meow. Bird Dogs is the shorts, the pants that will make your legs feel the absolute best that they've ever felt. Gym shorts with a built-in silky soft inner liner that makes underwear obsolete. They also make the best pants we've ever worn. Actually, they plucked a designer from Lululemon. And that designer came over, made it better. So the pants from Bird Dogs follow suit with the shorts from Bird Dogs, which are the most comfortable things you've ever worn below your waist. The shorts are, you can wear the shorts working out. You can wear the shorts swimming. You can wear the shorts sleeping. You can wear the shorts in business meetings. They come in different colors. Khaki they have, so you can dress them up. You can dress them down. And they're more comfortable than anything you will ever put on your thighs, ass, and region. And right now, if you go to birddogs.com and enter promo code SportsTalk, because that's what this show is. Birddogs.com, promo code SportsTalk, they'll throw in a free pair of nunchucks. Woo! Yes, you heard that right. A free pair of nunchucks. You'll get an actual murder weapon along with your pair of Bird Dogs. That's birddogs.com, promo code SportsTalk, and boom, a free pair of nunchucks with your pair of Bird Dogs. You will not take these things off. I promise you, you won't have to, by the way. And for some reason, they tend to stay cleaner longer.
Yeah, they do.
They don't smell as terrible as other shorts or underwear would, you think. They basically took an idea that was founded way back in the day with bathing suits and how they had that terrible fishnet that used to go around your thing, and you would get trapped and all that stuff, and it would put you in a stranglehold down there. No more. Bird Dogs have an absolute beautiful, long extendo, soft feeling that make you feel great. Now, Speaking of feeling great, I would assume there's some people wearing bird dogs right now down in our next guest garage who is having workouts during the quarantine pandemic, trying to make his community a healthier one, a more fit one. A two-time Super Bowl champion, ladies and gentlemen, the Ike Taylor. Yeah. Woo! What's going on, man?
Hey, P-Mac.
What's going on?
I need a pair of them bird dogs, bro.
Hey, you do need a pair of these bird dogs. The bird dogs will take care of everything you got going on down there. What are you doing right now? I see you're in your car. Are you traveling? Are you about to put some people through a workout? What's going on in Ike Taylor's life?
Nah, with the workout, we get done around 9:30, 10 o'clock every morning. So now I came to the mall, went to Capitol Grill, got me some Austin Hope. That's a good red wine if you want to talk about advertisement. So, yeah, man, just come on down. Whenever you back down in Orlando, I saw you was down for the wrestling, which I enjoyed.
Thank you.
But whenever you back down, man, we'll get a glass of these red grapes.
Okay, we will come through for some red grapes. I'm not normally a wine guy, but if you're drinking it, I'll drink it as well. I will take it down. I believe there is something you could put on the top of a bottle as well and drink that thing as if it's a beer bong.
It's called Corbin. It's called Corbin. So for the wine, it's called Corbin. And what you do, you stick it at the top of the tube, you put it in the tube, and you stick it at the top of the cork in the wine, and it preserves your wine. And you only do that with good wine, so it preserves your wine between 10 and 15 days.
What are you, you're a wino, huh? That's what it sounds. It sounds like you're like a wine. I mean, it's 1:33 right now, and you're making trips just for red wine. I mean, if you're a wine guy.
Well, if you're not on the golf course where they do business deals, you got to go to like Capitol Grill, Ocean Prime, and all these Del Frisco's, Morton's. You got to go to all these places where you want to meet up and do business.
Well, hey, business is good right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I assume you got a chance to watch that. Big Ben Rothersburg is back. You were a teammate of his for a little bit there whenever he was younger. How do you feel about Ben getting back into the game and how the Steelers look? People are saying that defense potentially better than the defense of the past.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, it sounds good, but we all know what time it was. I mean, they're a pretty good defense, but to be a good defense, you got to be consistent. So they're going on their second year of trying to be consistent. Last year they balled out. This year it's a good start. They left off on what they did last year, and that was having a heck of a season, on the defensive side. So they did a heck of a job on Monday. They got the ball in the red zone, and it's like the old defensive coordinator, Coach DeBoer, always say, defend every blade of grass. Like, we're not in control on where we at in the field, but we can control teams not scoring. So they gave up 3 instead of 7 when it came down to their red zone. So the Pittsburgh defense, don't forget, man, I think they have the most first rounders, whether it's through draft or free agency. They have the most first rounders on their defense than any other team. And they definitely playing like first rounders.
What do you think about Ben? What was your thoughts on Ben Rothersburg? I think early he looked a little like rusty or whatever, and then they kind of opened that thing up with the 2-minute drill going into the second half.
I mean, Seven said it best. Seven was like, man, I don't have to play football, but the young guys I got at the wide receiver position, this nice old line I have, the young guys I got in the backfield, the tight ends we picked up during free agency, man, I feel good about my situation. So he's one of the elder guys of that Drew Brees, Tom Brady round that has a young core around him. So he likes what he sees, and he had time due to the fact he was injured last year. He had time to reflect, build off-season or off-the-field relationships, and just kind of paint a picture in his head how he would do things with the young guys. And you can kind of see it starting to take its course. Even with Chase Claypool, the young, rookie guy from Notre Dame, he tiptoed on the sideline with that catch. That's chemistry. Juju, I think Juju is where he needs to be. Juju is in the slot. Deontay Johnson, he's very explosive. He's a young mixture between Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders. So if he just gains weight, he's going to be even better. But at the same time, Seven just had to knock out the rust. You saw that, P-Mac. Seven, I thought was nervous, and I thought that's natural to be nervous because you took a year off and you got to get into the flow. But that second half, man, Seven was doing Seven things.
I enjoyed listening to his post-game press conference because he had a lot of people to thank, first and foremost.
His Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ came down in the second quarter, into the third quarter, and the fourth quarter for his man there. But he also... Your face. He's laughing so hard. He then read off the young wide receiver group that he likes, and then he said, my offensive line, they love me and I love them. It's like, that is a massive deal, though, because I would assume that sometimes Ben wasn't always the most I mean, there's stories that have leaked out that Ben has gotten into it with teammates and everything like that. I think he's taking a real, initiative on having that team come together. And I think this could be a great swan song here for these last couple of years for Ben Roethlisberger with this group.
I don't think Seven really got into it. I think more of it is just a misunderstanding. Like, at one point in time, Seven thought I didn't like him. And I'm like, Seven, there's no reason for me not to like you. Like, bro, you just won me the Super Bowl. So why would I dislike you? So it's just a miscommunication, I think. Seven has more confidence in himself than a lot of people do. And he's not being cocky. He's not being arrogant. That's just Seven. Like I said earlier before, man, if you want to play Seven in ping pong, he's going to smoke you. If you want to play Seven in the game of horse, he's going to smoke you. If you want to play Seven in golf, he's going to smoke you. Seven and I were, shuffleboard champions, partners, champions in their locker room. So Seven, whatever Seven wants to do, he's just good at. And that's not, a lot of people can't say that. Like, a lot of people can't say I can smoke you in baseball and do it. Like, usually quarterbacks, they're good at two things from what I see right now. They're good at golf and they're good at playing quarterback in the NFL. Seven can pretty much do it all. He was an All-American, I think, in 3 sports in the state of Ohio. So I think it's just much more of a misunderstanding from a lot of people with Seven.
I didn't know that because his big lumbering ass. I did not expect that. But what style of ping pong player is he? Do you know? Is he a power guy, defensive guy? Does he use spins?
It's whatever you want him to be. If you want to go power, Seven going power. If you want to finesse it, Seven can finesse it. So it's like, dang, you got all these tools in the toolbox, and all I got is a hammer.
Like, obviously you guys had Seven on the Super Bowl runs, but you always had a running back. You always had Jerome or Willie Parker. Mendenhall was good back in the day. How big is it, like, when Connor goes out, that you have Benny Snell who comes in and then rushes for the yard, especially like after that 19-play drive the defense gave up? Last year, they would have been 3 and out, and the defense would have been right back on the field. But this offense took them all the way down the field, gave the D some time to rest. How big is that?
So now you see why they kept 5 running backs. And that's unusual for the Pittsburgh team or just any team to keep 5 running backs. So you wind up drafting a young running back from Maryland. You wind up keeping 4 more other running backs, including James Conner. So they understand that backfield so far has to get in the groove, and it's going to be running back by committee. Now, Coach Tomlin said he is going to leave the light on for James Conner, so he has that green light if he wants to play, not to start. But I think for the most part, it will be running back by committee. So this is the first time I've seen Pittsburgh keep 5 running backs.
Benny Snell runs hard. He's an angry runner. Like, he's.
I seen Benny at Kentucky. That's exactly how he ran at Kentucky. Now he just have to get a little bit smarter in the league because you do want to preserve yourself as a player and as a running back.
All right, as a esteemed member of one of the greatest defense in the history of the NFL in the secondary, as a guy who, I think you're a wide receiver. I forget your entire recruiting story and your college story, but it's an electric. When you're playing,
I was a running back. Then I was a cornerback.
Yeah, and you're playing like flag football or something. That's how it all started, right?
Yeah, so it was intramural my first 2 years because I was knucklehead and I didn't have the grades. Then my junior year, I walked on as a running back, wound up balling as a running back.
No big deal.
But then these coaches, like I was Chris Johnson before Chris Johnson. Like I was skinny as hell. Like I was 175. I was 6'2", 175. Feet way bigger than his legs. Like I was skinny as hell, P-Mac. But P-Mac, I averaged like 4.5, 4.8 yards a carry. So
is that good?
It was always second and short when you put me in the game. Like it's second and 3, second and 4 when you put Ike in the game at running back. But I'm so glad somebody made some sense and knocked me into the establishment. Like Ike, you're probably going to fit well at corner because you're very aggressive. So, and that story took on itself. But yeah.
Well, and they sometimes say that whenever you're a corner, it's because you don't have good hands. But we will not dive into that. We will not dive into that with you. You do not deserve that.
It's all good, man. It's a lot of people that can't have jobs, regular jobs, for 12 years. I had a professional job for 12 years. So I'm cool. Like I tell people all the time, man. I went to high school. I went to education twice. I had to go kindergarten through 12th grade. That's 12. Then I had to play in the league as a rookie for 12 years. So that's 24 years of my life, man. I've done something consistently. A lot of people can't say that.
Hey, let's go! But that defense you guys had was unbelievable. The secondary, notably legendary. I mean, across the board, you, Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, who's obviously a massive asshole, but a really good football player, guy that has taken a lot of people's dreams. When you look at the teams like the Chiefs, or I guess you can't really say the Buccaneers because they weren't able to figure it out, but when they got all those weapons, like the Chiefs, for instance, if you're in a secondary and you're preparing for that, what do you do? How does that team get stopped? Because listen, we are very much an overreaction show, and we're a daily show, so we have to ride the wave. But I find it very difficult to stop that. The more and more you think about it, it's like, okay, you take out Travis Kelce, okay, no big deal. Take out Travis Kelce, okay, I got Tyreek Hill. You take out Tyreek Hill, no big deal. Now they got a running back who is an absolute superstar. Then they got Sammy.
Hey, P-Mac, we played y'all. Y'all had the same thing. Y'all had Marvin Harrison, y'all had Reggie Wayne, y'all had Dallas Clark, y'all had Jeff Saturday, y'all had Edgerrin James, y'all had a young
Joseph Adai.
So, man, we seen this before. Then that was one of the roads. Then we had to take another road to Rod Smith and Jake Plummer. Then we had to go to Carson Palmer when he had Ocho, R.I.P., Chris Henry, T.J. Husmajada, Rudy Johnson, Corey Dillon. Like, we seen this before. Then we had to go with Seattle. We had to beat Seattle, and Seattle was the number one team on offense in the league. So everything you saying, I get what you're saying, but history does repeat itself. So, yeah, KC, we done seen KC plenty of times. We done seen KC 4 times in one playoffs.
So how do you stop it? You just everybody has to do their job? Is that kind of the thing? It's like, hey, everybody is going to have to tighten up here.
It's the rules was a little bit different, man. It really was knock the soul out of a grown man and make sure his mama, his wife, his sister, his girlfriend, make sure they feel it. That was a little bit different when we played. Like, when we played, we really did try to knock the soul out of you.
You can't do that now. So how are people who aren't allowed to take the soul out of humans, how are you going to be able to stop that Chiefs team in your eyes? For like a schematic, is there a scheme to do it, or is it all just people are going to have to just man up and make it happen?
You got to keep them off the field. Don't forget, like, Deshaun Watson and company was it 24-0, right?
Yeah.
In the playoffs. They was up 24-0. They tried to get too cute. They tried to get too fancy. And what you do by keeping that kind of offense, explosive offense off the field, is you run the ball and you run the clock out. Same way Kyle Shanahan did when he was the OC in Atlanta, and they could have beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. All you had to do was run the ball, because they only get 3 timeouts. You run the ball, you get 2 first downs. That's damn near 8 minutes off the clock in each quarter. Now they're running out of time, man, timeouts. Now you got action. But when you get too cute, it makes no sense. So I felt like Bill O'Brien and company just got too cute. You was killing the KC defense by running the ball. Then you wanted to pass, and that's how their defense is built. Their defense is built to stop the pass, and the reason why their defense is built to stop the pass because they figure on offense they're going to always be ahead. Same thing with the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints defense is built to stop the pass because they feel like they're going to always be ahead of games because of their offense. So that's how you got to look at it, but people, they just can't see it. So if you want to beat them, you hold the ball and you run it.
Well, that was exactly like the Colts team you mentioned. Now, I didn't get a chance to be teammates with Marvin Harrison. I have met him on occasion, but our team was loaded. But on the defense side of the ball, it was like, okay, here's the deal. Since we're going to have to lead a lot, people are going to have to come back. We got Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis coming off the edge, and they are going to get rough. They're going to get to the quarterback, hopefully. And that was the entire build of the team, by the way. We're going to spend money here, and we're going to spend money on these 2 spots right here, and then we're just going to figure it out from there. That was the entire strategy.
But the kryptonite to that strategy is when you run up on a team that likes to run the ball. Like, we go through the regular season and we see what the New Orleans Saints do on offense. When they got to a smash-mouth team against the Minnesota Vikings, what happened?
A push-off,
it was
Kyle
like,
Rudolph.
Yeah, it was like, no, we running the ball. Minnesota, like, we running the ball regardless. So when you get to a team that just want to play smash-mouth football, the way your team is built, it doesn't help. So in the playoffs, and you know this, P-Mac, in the playoffs, man, games and championships are won off of defense and running game, period.
Run the ball, stop the run. That is number one. Rules 1 and 2, and then defense has to get off the field. That is all over everything. Correct. Ladies and gentlemen, 2-time Super Bowl champ, one of the most entertaining talkers I've ever heard in my life, Ike Taylor.
Yeah. Mac, you keep taking shots at my hand. Mac, don't you know I know my hands wasn't good?
I didn't say that. No, I'm just saying what other people were saying. I'm reading the comments down here. Yeah. It's not me. I'm just a boy.
Why you keep repeating though, Mac?
Well, because
I feel like you don't like me, bro.
No. It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite.
I'm just playing, bro. I'm just playing.
Hey, by the way, Ike, these hands right here, very good. Very good. But I wish I was half the athlete of you.
No, I mean, Mac, you was one of the most entertaining kickers we knew.
Thank you.
Mac, I really do feel like you could have been a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
How you was angry, bro.
Yeah.
How you was angry, bro. Like, we always said, like, P. Mac one of us.
Well, Frank Gore. So Frank Gore, when he came to the Colts, he told me the same thing. He was like, Mac, you would have loved the Niners, man. If you were, you would have loved 100%. The locker room we had over there. You would have absolutely loved it.
100%, dog. 100%.
Well, instead, Indianapolis Colts, great place to be. Hey, great place to be. Ladies and gentlemen, Ike Taylor. Thank you, Ike. We appreciate you, Ike.
You my boy. Appreciate you, bro.
He's the best.
Yeah, the man.
He is the man.
Drinking wine at Capitol Grill.
Just housing wine here.
That's awesome to hear other locker rooms like, yo, try to get P-Mac in this locker room.
They used to, so teams used to tell me, they used to show like my tackles or whatever the week of to tell their returner like, hey, don't get got here. And I guess they used to turn into like some situations where people would be like, ooh. Yeah, it was nice to have the respect of the league. Not everybody. I mean, there were some people who definitely did not like me, but it was nice whenever that happened. Also, Tomlin was the coach there.
Yeah.
And Tomlin's the reason I got in the NFL, basically. I mean, Tom Telesco is the reason I became a Colt. Tomlin obviously led the workout my senior day and walked all the scouts down from the indoor facility and then put me through an entire workout and everything like that. So I would assume that potentially started there. And then Danny Smith, their special teams coach, is another one of my guys. I mean,
he had a nice face shield on. Yeah, he was rocking the face shield.
His gum was stuck to his face shield.
Yeah. Special teams coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers is the most electrifying human walking this here planet, okay? He doesn't do a lot of media, though, so you will never understand. If you ever get a chance to talk to the special teams coordinator from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Danny Smith, right? Yeah. Let's call him Danny. Danny Smith. He will chew an entire pack of gum at the same time. It's one time he's doing it. He has a face shield on, and he is electrifying. And the only thing he cares about, special teams football.
Hell yeah.
That is all he cares about.
He can't do media because of the gum, first of all, and then the profanity. He lets it fly.
He lets it. In every single combine, he would come by, stop by the office, and he just sits down, and it becomes just story time with Danny.
Did he go viral?
Oh, yeah, for chewing the gum. It was for the gum because he was chewing the gum and he spit. And then he chewed the gum again. It was after a bad moment, so he wasn't exactly thrilled. He's a Pittsburgh guy through and through. He's awesome.
Donner Squirrel Hill.
Donner. What's that? Nick, what were you about to say?
I say he can't do media because of the gum, first of all, and then the profanity.
Yeah, legit. It really is. I mean, it is. I wish we could get him on this show. I wish we could have him sit right there. Yeah. It would be
chewing gum.
Unbelievable, the story.
This might be 2 homers, so tell me to go fuck off. How was Colquitt's first game in
First snap he got was bad. To the left, he rushed it, hit a fat ball. Second ball was very good. I think he'll get good. He looked very comfortable. Obviously, afterwards, he photobombed Ben Rothersburg.
Yes. Awesome.
But signing a punter for that Pittsburgh Steelers team was a big deal because that was a big question mark. Jordan Berry has a massive leg. He'll find a home somewhere else, but he's very inconsistent. And when you're inconsistent, you potentially set your team up for failure because field position is the name of the game. Colquitt's just a consistent. They'll just figure it out. That's just the way it goes. Let's go to Billy in North Carolina. What's going on, Billy?
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
What's up, Pat? How are you doing?
Not too shabby, Billy. How are you here on this Wednesday, September 16th?
I'm doing fantastic.
That's quite castic. I mean, why'd you have to dunk on him like that?
I love Billy Madison.
So how's this go? What am I supposed to say then? So we don't have that
I think
moment.
he's supposed to know that you're supposed to talk and say the question.
Like, I like Billy in North Carolina there. I liked his energy there early, but then...
Seemed like a nice guy.
That's happened a couple times now. Yesterday was Misdirection Tuesday on the phone.
Yeah, big time.
Hey, you want to get my opinion in, then I want to ask you 5 questions. Okay, today it's been like a lot of awkward silences, and normally that's not the case. Normally get pretty good chemistry going. Maybe it's on me. Let's figure out if we can get it squared away with Cam in New York. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, boys?
Hey, nothing, man. What's going on with you?
Not too much. Just wanted to call in, wish a happy belated to Sally McAfee.
Okay, all right.
Here we go.
Now we're taking steps. Here we go. Cam, what do you want to talk about next?
Hey, I want to see how Boston Connor is feeling. I see he's pretty confident with his corn road confidence, but I want to know if he's worried about the Bills in the AFC East.
Is he worried about the Bills in the AFC East? What he should also be worried about at the current time is the Boston Celtics just getting their at the end of the game. One of the biggest blocks in the history of basketball happened last night in the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics have been led by a guy named Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, amongst others up there. A resurgence by the Celtics with a brand new squad under Brad Stevens. They make the Eastern Conference Finals. Nobody really expected it other than Connor. He's been very loud about it. The Miami Heat, a plus 3,300 odds bet in August to win this whole thing. They're now in the Eastern Conference Final, and they are currently up 1-0 on the Boston Celtics. Surprise shocker of the NBA. And in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Clippers packed to the gills with superstardom. Massive conversation piece in the offseason. They bring Kawhi out of Canada, who just got done winning a NBA championship for the entire country. They bring over Paul George from Oklahoma City. They obviously have Doc Rivers over there, a team that was supposed to be primed for success and win over Los Angeles, become the team in Los Angeles. They lose last night to the Denver Nuggets. Jeez. Denver Nuggets, by the way, I listened to their coach, Mike Malone, afterwards talk about how last year we were the number 2 team in the West. This year, we were the number 2 team in the West for a long time, then we dropped down to number 3 team in the West. Everybody's acting like we're not supposed to be here. We have a very good team. We have a lot of continuity, and they are a lot of fun to watch. Joker, they ran a play last night where he actually threw the ball over his head to Jamal Murray, who has been lights out in this entire playoff performance. That team's been a lot of fun. They got to run into the Los Angeles Clippers or Los Angeles Lakers, who are still there. So now it's the Final Four in the NBA. Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James team from the presidential suite he's been staying in, housing more wine than Ike Taylor on a Wednesday. Then you have the Denver Nuggets, a team that everybody has loved. Everybody watches. They rally behind. Yes, they have stars, but they're not superstars known nationwide. So it's kind of cool to watch the way they operate amongst each other. Then in the Eastern Conference, you have Miami Heat and Boston Celtics. One of those 4 teams will win the NBA COVID championship, and Connor's hoping that it is the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, we lost the game. I'd say Miami obviously won, but we lost it. We were up 10 more than once. Yeah, we were winning with 4 points in overtime.
That's like the biggest cop out of all time.
Yeah. Well, but it's true. I mean, we dominated the game, and then we couldn't close. Tatum missed a lot of shots. He missed the game winner at the end of regulation. I mean, it was a tough game. I have plenty of faith.
That sounds eerily similar to U-Ball yesterday. The Lakers.
So we were the better team.
Everybody's assuming the Lakers are going to win at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's their.
Unfortunately.
Even, it doesn't matter who wins.
Fun story with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Let's go to Taylor in Charlotte. Mitt spelled Charlotte, Charrollet.
Jesus Christ. Hey, Pat, how you guys doing? Happy Wednesday.
A lot better than fucking Mitt's brain.
What's his IQ?
I give Mitt a break because he's also a Denver fan. So shout out to Denver fans everywhere. We're riding high off that Nuggets dub last night. Just curious. Though,
I don't think he's a Nuggets fan.
No, he's an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Yeah,
actually.
No. I think he's a Nuggets fan. He's not a Nuggets fan.
He told me the other day he's a Broncos fan, so I just.
That's because his dad works there.
They pay the bills.
He's literally paid to be a fan of theirs.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it too, by the way. And it's a fun team to be a fan of. Average age of 25. They're going to be great moving forward. The Denver Nuggets, it's a good time to be mile high, baby, even if you're in Charlotte. What do you want to talk about?
Just kind of curious to see, the Denver Nuggets, they come back 3-1 twice. With there being no fans in stadiums, do you think it's easier to come back because you don't have that momentum? I know us fans like to think we contribute a lot to games, and we probably don't.
That's interesting to think about. And I do believe that the bubble down there has worn on some people. They've been down there for, 3 months now at this point?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a long time being down there locked up, basically. And by the way, they're staying in nice hotels. They have nice food. But I would assume that the morale down there is something that could potentially get some teams. Those who can handle it the best are going to win. That's why Jimmy Butler and that Miami Heat team are so dangerous. Jimmy Butler set up a coffee shop down there in the bubble. Yeah. Jimmy Butler wouldn't let his family or friends come because he said it's business. They're locked in. The Denver Nuggets seem to be very happy to be down there and playing together. You got to watch for that whenever you're talking about what team's going to make a run. Who is enjoying what they're doing right now? And it feels like the Miami Heat are doing that, and it feels like the Denver Nuggets are doing that. Is Braun? We'll find out. Are the Celtics? We shall find out. Will you want to run and hide out of the bubble whenever you get your shit blocked like that at the end of the game? Possibly. I assume they'll bounce back, though. The NBA is still happening, even though all these other sports are. We'll talk about more in the last hour. Vic Fangio, head coach of the Denver Broncos, has backpedaled on his statement about not being wrong about his time management. There's NFL games this weekend. AJ Hawk will be here. Ryan Kerrigan will be here. And your phone calls. Big Hour 3 on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Lakers, welcome to the Blender, the home of a team and a fan base on a playoff push the likes the world has never seen before. Crescent City, get on your feet for tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Sprite, an incredibly refreshing drink. Starting at forward was the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Now he's an NBA All-Star, Brandon Ingram. At forward, this man has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable 6'6" phenom, Zion Williamson. At center, standing at 8 feet tall, from Georgia Tech, number 22, Derek Favors. This man's family had a reality show in Lithuania. He was born and raised in LA, but he found his J in Vienna. Lonzo Ball. And the OG of the roster. On the court, he's a monster. Braids hanging, shots banging. It's not Drew, it's Drew Holiday. Let's get this done. Thank you very much. Go Pelicans. Basketball.
Shoe. Oh, yeah. Hour 3 kicking off here on this Wednesday, September 16th. McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk has taken over Mad Dog Radio Channel. Joining us now is the Crimson Chin, ladies and gentlemen, Ohio State legend. Big Ten football is back. Can't wait to hear his reaction, AJ Hawk. Hey, boy, AJ.
What's up, guys? Yeah, so you had General Bob on earlier in the show. I caught a little bit of the interview. Pretty good victory lap Bob's taken, but you know what? I respect him deflecting all the praise. It's about the kids. It's about the parents, about everybody that put up the fight. Bob was just out there doing his little part, so I appreciate him and what he did. I knew he'd be victorious.
General Bob Carpenter was very humble. This isn't about me. This has been about the players all along. Whenever I was putting out the president's emails and addresses and phone numbers, it wasn't about me or them. It was about the players all along. Whenever I gave the addresses of people to go picket in front of, that wasn't about me. That wasn't about them. That was about the players all along. And that's why that general led an army into a victorious position that it is right now. I think without all the uprise, without all the noise, this does not happen. I would assume the presidents would have wiped their hands clean of this. We have to figure out how we're going to continue to get people to pay full tuition while not taking them to class, while having them locked down their dorm. They wouldn't even thought about football, but the noise that was brought, not only in real life with the picketing, but on the internet, it had to be deafening at one point for those presidents. And now here we are. They're not taking the test from the president because they don't want to make this political, but they will have rapid testing and everything like that. And Big Ten football is back. Good news for the Big Ten, by the way, because I thought there was a chance they might drift off into irrelevancy, much like the Pac-12 already has, if the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Sun Belt, and the American Conference was going to be able to put off a great football season, which they started just last week.
Is there any way we can pop that Bob's tweet up there again?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Just my favorite part at the bottom, the President Harry Truman quote. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you do not care who gets the credit.
Hell yeah.
Well said.
Well,
five-star general.
Funny that General Bob Carpenter said that, because we actually put out a poll on who deserves the credit. And our poll that Zito has run since this morning is currently at...
right now, Kevin Warren, 3%. Picketing parents, 14%. 33% goes to General Bob. And then 50%, Sir Yacht.
Sir Yacht is the one who, the poll that Zito ran this morning on who deserves the credit for who brought the Big Ten back. Sir Yacht has been saying on like 6 different occasions that a vote was happening and they were being reinstated, but he was right this particular time. They are back. Shout out to Sir Yacht for keeping the optimism going and the feel on the internet that it was coming back. And shout out to General Bob Carpenter leading an army of humans into full riots almost to get football back. But once it got to the point where College Game Day was on location and the Sun Belt was playing games and Austin P was able to play and high schools all over Midwestern Big Ten states were packed out in their stadiums, it was only a matter of time, I think, until the Big Ten had to face the music and say, hey, you know what, we got to about face on this thing. And by the way, I respect it. I respect people in power who normally have large egos, because if you're the person making a decision over thousands of people and millions of dollars lie on your desk and on your shoulder, I would assume that you have to have some sort of arrogance and some sort of ego whenever you're doing that. For them to swallow that, look at the current circumstance, see everybody else being able to successfully do it, realizing like, well, if they can do it, we could probably do it, and about facing it, I think that's actually a little bit commendable. And shout out to the Big Ten giving themselves only 8 weeks to complete an 8-week season, no buffer time at all. They're doing it like, hey, we're going to do it, but we'll see if it works. We're going to give you 8 weeks, whatever it is. Congrats to the Big Ten, I think, AJ.
I agree. Congrats. And people, they use politicians a lot of times as an example of, hey, you can't be a flip-flopper. Like, oh, what do you mean? You voted this way, and then 2 years later you voted this way. Oh, or did you support this, and then all of a sudden you don't support it? But I think there's nothing more powerful and nothing more sometimes like when you remove your ego completely and you say, you know what? I was presented with new facts. I was presented with more information. And the biggest thing now, it sounds like, is they're presented with these instant tests that can do it in 15 minutes or whatever. And they can get them, not from the president, cool, whatever, keep it non-political. We're okay with that.
Yeah, it's 2020, everything.
To make the decision and admit, hey, there was a mistake earlier. Now, I'm sure they're not saying this was a mistake. They're saying now I was presented with more information. We have better science now. But either way, they could have easily sat there and be like, well, nope, we made the decision. Decision's final. But no, I'm glad because of everyone pushing back, they went and they had to get together and they figured it out. And now we'll see if it actually works, but at least they're going to give it a shot.
I agree with what you said there. Whenever facts roll out or situations change, you're allowed to change your thoughts and opinions on things as you learn more. I agree that is very powerful. But if I'm Iowa, Nebraska, and the Ohio State, I'm peacocking all around the Big Ten conference today.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we know it. Hey, yep, this is what we've been. By the way, you remember, Kevin Warren, when you wanted to be the first one out to make a decision, you're like, the ACC is going to follow us, and they didn't. We're like, well, this is stupid. We shouldn't even be voting right now. We should just wait until we can learn more. And we've been right all along. It's hard not to peacock, I'd assume, if you're at the top of that bad boy and you were the one of the ones that made the decision early that we're going to play football again.
Yeah, most likely. They should have just waited. Why didn't they just wait until now to make a decision, or wait until August 25th?
And I said this in the leadoff. AJ, you can't get us common sense in a classroom. You cannot get self-awareness out of a book. A professor can't teach you feel in situations. Those are all things that you have to either have or grow and learn. So there's a lot of PhDs, I'd assume, making a lot of decisions. And I understand they're the most educated people from what the books have told them to know in the world. And I understand it. But that can't teach you, like, the thought of we're going to be heroes tomorrow when we wake up after this decision, and then the next day actually the entire world is burning around you telling you you're the dumbest human on earth. Like that is something you just can't get in a classroom that a lot of people have. And I've always said this, whenever you're making a decision, you have to have Jeopardy smart people around you, and you have to have Wheel of Fortune people smart around you. Okay, tell me what a book told you that told everybody else. Okay, what do you think is potentially going to happen? Well, I think everybody's going to be very pissed off. Like, yeah. I think there's going to be a very loud cold at you. Really? Because the Jeopardy person up here that has a PhD said, we're going to be heroes because we're thinking about blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, that's very nice of you to think like that. But I'm just telling you what the real world's going to do. Yeah. People are going to be pissed. There wasn't one of those people in that meeting. They all thought, oh, we're going to be heroic in this thing. It completely backfired. There was no reason to go out and make that decision earlier than everybody else. I think that is the biggest mistake. If they could come out and say, like, hey, our biggest mistake was getting out in front of this and being the first people to make a decision. We're going to try to be trailblazers and set the trend on what you're supposed to do. Now, granted, the Ivy League was before us, but I don't mind them turning if they know that they have tests and everything like that.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys. So General Bob was really harping on the fact that, like, they did have this Abbott testing or the rapid response early, and there were still teams that didn't want to do it. So now at this point,
is it political?
Well, and
sure,
are they
sounds
like was it like those, like Illinois? I'm pretty sure they don't have high school football. So, and like Maryland and Rutgers, these schools that weren't going to do it no matter what. Do you think the Big Ten came to them and was like, hey, listen, you guys are going to be shit out of luck if you don't come with us? So, like, was there any situation where they potentially still weren't going to play this year?
Are those three teams playing or not playing? Is everybody playing?
I'm under the assumption that everyone is playing.
8 games. How many games is there normally in the Big Ten Conference? 8 games?
10, I believe.
So maybe a couple teams aren't playing. Maybe there's a couple teams that are like, we can't play because of our state regulations and our guidelines. We can't, in our campus, we can't play. But I don't know if that information has come out yet. I just know that the Big Ten will be honoring a Big Ten champion at the end of this. Am I right in that, AJ?
Yeah, as long as there's no hiccups. I mean, like you said, they have 8 weeks to play 8 games, so they can make them eligible for the postseason and college football playoff, because that's all that matters. Like if the Big Ten plays and something happens and they miss 2 or 3 games, you're probably not going to be able to put them into the college football playoffs, are you? Are you going to be able to put a Big Ten team through?
And by the way, I think we talked about this earlier. I think the Big Ten playing, even though it's a month and a half from now, which I guess because you got to get past the initial massive spike in positive tests that's going to happen for every team that goes back. There's going to be massive tests, and I assume the media is going to be like, yeah, 45% of the Ohio State Buckeyes tested positive and aren't even allowed in the building and all that stuff. That's going to happen. I think that happens in a lot of places.
They've been working. Like, they haven't really stopped coming into the facility, though. Haven't most of these teams still been at least working out together?
I have no idea. We've heard a couple teams. It hasn't been every team. I don't think that is well known that every team has done that. Let's just assume, though, that the reason why it's not starting until October 24th is there's a COVID positive test response reaction period, whatever that's going to be, 2 weeks probably. So then that takes you to a month before then, and then they want a month to ramp back up, I'd assume. And you could probably cut that down to 3 weeks, 2 weeks, or whatever. If you want to give yourself a bye week even, or maybe a little buffer, they decided against it. But hey, they've changed their decisions before, and I'm not mocking them for it. I'm just saying there's a chance we maybe get it a week earlier, maybe the 17th instead of the 24th. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a wiggle room, I believe is what it's called, just in case old COVID comes running wild on you, brother.
I believe all teams are playing, and from the AD from Purdue said the schedule will come from the original 9-game Big Ten schedule. They're just going to have to drop one of those games.
All right. Well, if I'm any other team other than Ohio State, I'm trying to drop Ohio State, and I'm trying to add Rutgers. Rutgers might have 14 games this fall. Let's go to Big Jake over there in Wisconsin. What's going on, Big Jake?
Pat, not too much. How you guys doing down there?
Hey, not too shabby, don't you know?
Hey, I had a quick question about the Colts. So with Allen Robinson supposedly wanting out now and Odell being on the trading block, what was the strangest pregame eating routine that you guys ever saw in the locker room? And did you guys do anything strange yourself?
Misdirection's back.
Yeah, see, that's that.
Misdirection
Look left.
Tuesdays.
Hey, look over here. Look over here.
Yeah.
What's your favorite meal before the game?
Like, hey, Allen Robinson is reportedly asked for a trade, but he didn't ask for a trade. And then there was the give A-Rob an extension thing yesterday. There was a lot of drama around Allen Robinson yesterday, but his agent came out and said that they did not request a trade. So who knows how that's going. And then Mike Francesa said yesterday that Odell Beckham Jr. was potentially on the trading block. So there's a lot of smoke in there. And I thought that was going to lead to a good conversation from that guy. But instead, misdirection, classic Mad Dog Radio. Mad Dog Radio, which I appreciate. Weirdest eating routine. I don't even know how to answer that question. I honestly have no idea. I mean, Dwight Freeney had like a chef that made him food. He had his own thing. And Vontae Davis used to drink this water that had like a pH level of like 27. It came in a glass bottle. But aside from that, most people, the way they eat is they would put a fork into something, and then they would take the fork to the mouth, chew it up, swallow it. And then they would repeat that until the plate that was in front of them was either close to empty or fully empty. How about you, AJ?
Not a whole lot. The only thing that comes to mind, there was a kid who was having these weird issues before the game, like in the locker room pregame. Sometimes I never even really knew what was happening until all of a sudden one game we were on the road and the strength coach came up to me, one of the assistants, he's like, hey, you'll never believe what I just had to do. I was like, what? What do you mean? And he said, well, this guy, he's been having these weird issues, mental issues, anxiety. I don't know what it is. He goes, he wasn't able to eat this morning. He was freaking out. He said, so I had to go find chicken tenders, put them in a blender, mix them up and make chicken tenders into some weird smoothie for him to drink because that's like the only way that he would be able to take the field. And the guy was not
from the Green Bay Packers organization.
Well, this guy was, I don't think anything like that has ever happened before or after this game because it wasn't like this.
Did he play good?
He wasn't a 14-year-old pro by any means. He's a good guy. That game, I have no idea.
What's his name?
I think I was still thinking about how nasty that chicken tender smoothie would have been when I was playing the game. I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, your breath probably smells terrible.
Who's drinking chicken tender smoothies in the Green Bay Packers organization? Who was it?
Tell us.
Even if I told you the kid's name, you wouldn't know who he is.
What position? Can I try to guess the position? This sounds like a corner. This sounds like a corner.
It's not, but it doesn't matter. Yeah.
D-line.
What position was it?
Come on.
He played defense. That's all that matters. But I'm not going to out the guy.
Was it you?
Oh, so now you're worried that you
won't even know him.
Or you won't even know him. You said.
I'm not worried.
Who's drinking chicken finger smoothies, pal?
I still talk with this guy. That's what I'm saying. I have no it was just weird.
Bobby Carpenter.
Oh no, not the general.
He does eggs.
No,
he was.
If the dude would have played lights out, my strength coach may have just resigned right there because he knew he was in for years of chicken tender smoothies.
We had a Muslim kid on our college football team, and when he was fasting, it was very interesting watching that entire thing because he was like, he had to go through everything that we went through, and he wasn't able to eat until sun went down, and as soon as the sun came up in the morning, so he was up early eating as much as he possibly could, and then by the end of the day, when we're in meetings and everything, he was kind of like, I don't want to say like
withering away.
He really was though, and then as soon as the thing was, that was like the only real interesting eating situation.
Any fast foods? You guys have anybody like before the game who's eating, Wendy's, McDonald's, any of that?
So for us, I would assume we're at the age where everybody had a pregame meal, and you had to check into the pregame meal, and you like
nutritionist.
Everything. No, not nutritionist, but still pregame meal that you have in the lobby or in one of the conference rooms of the hotel you're currently in. You got to check in and everything like that. But I would assume back in the day, back whenever guys were housing cigarettes at halftime and chugging beers in the locker room, they were eating burgers and whatever whenever they could. But most of the time, eating is all regulated by the team because you're in the one area there. So this is what you're going to do. Unless you got a strength coach that's going to go run and get you some spicy nugs and blend that thing up. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah, football's a lot more strict than other sports. That's why, like, baseball players or basketball, if they see, like, what you guys have, they come knock on your door, you have bed check the night before a game, like how structured it is and how you don't have a ton of freedom. Like, baseball is so casual and lax with so many games. Those guys can do whatever they want. They show up to the park basically when they want. Now, football, like, there's a first bus, there's a second bus, and you better be on them.
Hey, which bus were you on? First bus or second bus guy?
I was always second bus guy. I don't need to get there and waste my time. I didn't go out on the field. I didn't do the pre-game to try to get some FaceTime and get on the camera. Like, I warmed up when my team warmed up.
What are you insinuating?
Well, didn't you get your face on the camera all game, though, didn't you?
Hard to miss.
So.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I'm not insinuating anything. If I was like a quarterback,
Well, it sure sounded like
that's exactly what
if
you
I
were
wanted
doing.
to catch some balls or I needed to punt early to warm up, those are the guys that need to go out early. But linebacker, what am I going to go out there and start doing 3-cone drill to warm up? Like, I got plenty of time.
Run a 40.
You know what I used to do? I used to put my helmet on. I used to smash it off the upright. You know what I mean? Like in a pad and like kind of wake myself up. Here we go. Let's get going. I was always first bus guy and by the way, normally first person off the bus.
Hell yeah.
Specialists have to be. I think McCarthy specialists absolutely had to be first bus because they go right on the field.
It's literally the only time I get to kick a ball on the field is the pre, and then once the warm-ups happen. Well, of course, the defense needs 75 yards here to jog around. And then once kickers and punters warm up, they have to somehow remain warm while standing on the sideline for 45 minutes. It's a very interesting thing. And then at halftime, that's only if let's say you had 2 punts in the first half. At halftime's your only time you can correct anything. And don't you worry about it, though. The marching band from Who Gives a Fuck University is playing, and they have a 110-yard wide demonstration they want to give to you. So you have to wait until there's 27 seconds left in halftime to get out there and hit the ball. And by the way, if you interrupt it, you're ruining their once-in-a-lifetime moment for them and their family.
During pregame, would coaches ever change anything, or is by then everything set in stone and you guys are off?
Everybody has their own thing. Like some coaches I see do stretch lines. I think we did that maybe 1 year. Normally it's come out individual groups and then there's like a little 7-on-7 and then there's a couple walkthroughs and then there's the classic call up at the end where people are giving motivational speeches and then you go in. What was your guys? Did you guys do a stretch line? I always found that weird.
We didn't do the stretch line, no. That's one thing that they hated in Green Bay is like the old school stretch line that you do in practice every day. You know, where everyone lines up like every 5 yards. And the coaches, the coaches walk in and out and they just talk shop and they joke around, act like they're boys with every single player on the team.
Yeah.
That's something that the strength coach in Green Bay, and I'm very happy for it. He told them like day one meetings, he's like, listen, coaches, stay the hell out of our stretch lines. Where we are stretching, we're warming up. These guys are there to work. They're not there to talk to you. So stay the hell out. So we would do like moving stretch lines, really, but they were real quick. We would do it first, and then you break off into your individual, and then you come together as a team. You get some thud reps with the one offense, and then all of a sudden just take it in and try to get warm before kickoff if it's a cold one.
I love that. Let's get to a break because Ryan Kerrigan will be joining us on the other side. Yeah. He just became the all-time leader in sacks for the Washington football team, which was new name this year, been around a long, long time. 10 years in the NFL, doesn't get a lot of credit because he was on a team that was burning down. We'll talk to Ryan Kerrigan on the other side. Hey, they might have turned the page completely.
Yeah.
They come back down from 17 at half. Ron Rivera's in there crushing it. I can't wait to talk to him about the culture in there, the team in there, what was being said in there. How do you feel? How do you feel, Ryan Kerrigan? He joins us on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Seconds before I hit the anvil. I've been trying to time myself out for 15 seconds. I've never spoken for 15 seconds before. There's no chance. It's a new era for Colts football. All right, let's go. You're all badasses. Thank you all for your service. Have an incredible day out there. It's the safest
biggest place in America right now. Holy hell. All right, everybody smile. You're probably not supposed to. Hey, safe travels. We appreciate the hell out of all of you. Go kick ass. Hoo-ah. Hey, the best game in the history of the drumline is going to be today. You guys are going to steal the show in second half. How's it going? My name's Pat. I swing a big hammer, and when I talk, people listen. A long fucking day. So I had to switch it to damn. When I get going like that, it really catches. Hey, big cold swing today, huh? Another week about to start, Foxy. Triple H texted me, said he enjoyed it. Nice. He said if anybody's making fun of you for the size of your hammer, just tell them it's not the size, it's how you swing it.
The Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Oh, what was that?
Is that Queen? Face melter.
I think I did hear a little bit there.
Jesus.
Welcome back to Pat McAfee Show. McAfee and Hawk, Hour 3. We are 24 minutes into that right now. We're being joined by a man who is a 4-time Pro Bowler. He just became the franchise sack leader for the Washington football team. Just got named this morning the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. One-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. First-round draft pick back in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, out of Purdue, Ryan Kerrigan.
Yeah!
What's up, Ryan? What's up, dude?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, man, I've seen a lot of photos of you the last couple of days. They've been posting a lot of you because you guys had like 75 sacks this weekend. You might be the most yoked white person to ever exist.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're an absolute monster. I can't thank you enough for joining us. Congrats on being NFC Defensive Player of the Week. That is no easy thing to have, especially in a game where it looked like early you guys are going to get boat raced out of the building. What happened at halftime? What was the turnaround? What was the conversation? And why did you guys look like a completely different team in that second half? And is that a sign of things to come for that Washington football team?
I like to think so. I mean, we got out to a slow start. I mean, really in all phases of the game. So, but then we got a score before halftime. We got an interception, early in the third quarter that really kind of swung the tide. And after that, we just started, just playing better team football and got the job done.
Did you have a feeling going into this game that, hey, you guys had some good matchups that you could exploit, especially up front?
Yeah, we liked some of our matchups, and I mean, we're we're pretty deep on the defensive line. We got a lot of guys that can roll through, and we know that if we could just stop the run and limit the yardage on first and second down, that third down we could really turn on the heat and get to the quarterback.
You guys have 5 first-round draft picks on that defensive line, including Chase Young, which is the most recent one. And he was special this past weekend as a rookie playing in his first game. I mean, you guys are playing against a rugby player at right tackle at one point, and I assume you guys took advantage of that. But what have you seen out of Chase Young early since he got on campus? And have you obviously helped take him under the wing a little bit, tell him like this is where the NFL goes, and how has he received all that information?
I mean, the guy is as advertised. He's a physical freak, but he's not just big and athletic. The guy is incredibly skilled at rushing the passer. His hands, his technique, the angles he uses to get to the quarterback. I mean, he's really beyond his years in terms of his skill development, which you combine that with the guy is, 6'5", 260 and jacked. I mean, it's a matchup nightmare for a lot of guys.
What about your quarterback in year 2, Dwayne Haskins? We know we're hearing everything like, oh, he's got a different approach this year. He's grown up a lot from year 1 to year 2, and obviously you guys got to win, and he played well enough to win for you. But, like, what have you seen, I guess, from last year to this year?
I think he's just really both physically and, from the mental aspect of the game has really grown, taking a good leadership role. He kind of brought us up at halftime when we were down, and he was like, we were in this position last year. We were at a different position last year with in terms of we were up 17 to 7 at halftime, but then they came back and won on us like Philly did last year, and he was just like, we can turn the tide and do the same thing to them this year. And after that kind of rallying cry, we were able to turn it around and get things going in our way.
That's awesome to see from a young quarterback. Not an easy thing to do, but the reason why it was such big news is because at halftime, Ron Rivera was getting an IV, I guess, to stay hydrated because he's currently battling with chemo to kick the hell out of cancer. I mean, there's a lot that has happened off the field around that Washington football team. New name. I mean, the fact I'm even saying Washington football team, that has happened within like the last month and a half. New building, everything like that. You've been there for 10 years, about 45 different regimes. What have you seen with this Jason Wright, Ron Rivera regime here in this short amount of time that makes you think, and why your fans should think like, hey, this is where we need to be. We are exactly where we need to be right now. Let's keep it moving.
I really like the direction we're heading in. I mean, I feel like, Coach Rivera, he's had a lot of success in this league. He took the team to the Super Bowl a couple of years back in Carolina, and I mean, he won a number of division titles down there. The guy knows what to do, and knows how to run a football program here. And so I'm glad he's with us now, and I feel like we're definitely heading in the right direction here in Washington.
How did you guys keep all that stuff out of the locker room? I don't even know if you know if it was happening or not. I'll let you know. There was like 6 Washington Post articles. There was rumors happening. There was firings. There was this. There was that. I mean, how do you guys keep that away from football and not let that distract the mission? Is that a big Ron Rivera thing? Like, hey, we got to control here? Or did you kind of embrace that and be like, hey, we're changing, we're turning, we're setting ourselves up on a new path?
I feel like Coach Rivera did a good job of letting us know, hey, I'll handle all the other noise, and you guys just focus on football and being prepared for this season. And I think that leadership really helped our team, helped our organization through the difficult time.
Hey, I know you guys play. You have the Cardinals coming up. Everyone loves what they're able to do. And Kyler Murray, I'm just wondering, as a pass rusher, and you guys have a lot of them that can get after. How does it differ when you're facing a guy like Kyler? I know sometimes guys can tend to, you got to like mush rush, try to keep him in the pocket, do all these things where you can't just pin your ears back and roll. Like, how do you approach a guy like that can move so well?
It's a balance, because you don't want to just fly upfield and run around the edge, expose that B gap, and let him have a clear running lane. But you also don't want to just kind of stand back there and watch him throw the ball. So you gotta rush with caution, but you also gotta still open it up a little bit, because if you're just letting him sit back there and throw it because you don't want him to run it, then that's not doing you any good either. So you got to find the balance of, okay, we're rushing, but we're rushing with some awareness of not letting him escape.
Well, good luck, Ryan Kerrigan. You got quite a tall task. NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Congratulations. Absolute monster. All-time leader in sacks for the Washington football team. Keep it going. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Kerrigan. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Congrats, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
What's up, Pat? Hey, why is my camera like tinted red? Does it look like that to you?
Yeah, you do look tinted red.
You gotta white balance that thing a little bit.
Was he on a Zoom call? Was that a Zoom call?
No, it was FaceTime.
That was a FaceTime.
FaceTime, huh?
There's a little bit of a delay there.
Washington football team hasn't fixed their Wi-Fi yet.
Well, he wasn't in the. I don't think he was in the building there. And by the way, Ryan Kerrigan, very, 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 very nice guy. Right
Yeah,
there.
Indiana born.
It was his assistant's phone.
Did he dive into the can to get every answer out of there, though? I've never heard more canned answers out of. There was a couple look-arounds there, and I respect it, by the way. I'm not going to be the guy who's going to say anything that could potentially get us off track. We are finally getting on track. Yeah. That's a tough position. But I thought we were going to get something. I mean, there was literally nothing. There was nothing every single time there.
Do you think that's been like a memorandum from the team? Like, hey, if you guys go do media, don't fucking say anything.
And by the way, if you're doing McAfee show, don't say anything.
Don't laugh.
That's what I felt like right there, AJ. It did feel like that a little bit. But I think our connection maybe is the connection.
I don't know.
I bet you that's how AJ was when.
AJ, how many Defensive Player of the Weeks did you get? That's a very tough thing to get, by the way, because you have to have your media team has to write together a pitch for you to win it. Then they got to send it in. Then that has to be picked. Oh, yeah.
What?
It's an entire thing. Yeah, because I've had a couple big weeks, and my name didn't get offered up because Vinatieri would break a record or whatever. And it was like, I respect Vinny. I love Vinny. I mean, but not a lot of motherfuckers are going to do what I just did with the ball there. And they're like, well, it's Vinny just broke a record, so let's go ahead and he potentially get him. Like,
there'll be another.
Well, Vinatieri, by the way, didn't get it that week either. So it's like we kind of wasted our pitch. You know what I mean? We wasted our pitch on the whole thing.
What the hell are they doing?
Yeah, but it's not easy to get. AJ, I assume you got a few in your day.
No, I don't think I did. I think my linebacker coach was pissed one time because we played the Ravens. I don't know what year it was. I think I had 3 sacks, a couple pass breakups, whatever. I don't know how many tackles. I didn't get it. I remember my coach being all mad. I was like, "It'll be all right. Like, who votes on that, coach? Like, who makes that decision? Like, you'll be okay."
I do wonder who picks that because I do know that the media, individual teams, their media person, PR person, has to put together the pitch, and it's like a one-sheeter. Like, did this, at this point in the game, this happened, and then that gets submitted somewhere. But I've never followed up with, well, where does it get submitted? I was always just like, oh, it just gets submitted somewhere. So we should find out before next week's awards who makes the decision. By the way, Saints punter Thomas Morstead will have the same exact game next week and the same exact game the week after that. Most consistent human potentially to ever kick. I'm very happy for him. Daniel Carlson, I think he made 4 extra points or 4 kicks or something like that. Had 10 points altogether. Mm-hmm. Congrats to him. Kickers were not great this weekend. I assume Justin Tucker's not thrilled either because he hit some bombs in there. But if you make 1 or 2 kicks this year, you could probably win Special Teams Player of the Week with the way things are going right now. Let's go to Roscoe down there in Louisville. What's going on, Roscoe?
Hey, man, what's going on? Hopefully I can redeem all the callers and bring the juice and not misdirect you on my question. It's nice to talk to you, and AJ, I'm glad you're here to witness this too. So I'm a big Green Bay Packers fan, huge fan. I'm glad Rodgers is coming on the show every Tuesday, but a couple of weeks ago he said something, or you asked him a question, Pat, and he kind of jumped over it, and it's been hurting me for you, so I wanted to call in. So you were talking about the Kentucky Derby, and I know AJ's gone with him here. I'm a local here, and Derby's huge. Now, before I ask my question, what I want to say is this. Have AJ tell you after I hang up what the difference is in the infield and the grandstands where he stands with Rodgers. But I would cordially invite you and the boys down here, and you could be coronated as king of the infield. I tell you, Pat, you would kill him, and you can make Rodgers jealous if you came down here and paint this fucking town.
Imagine
because
me looking up
to come to the Derby.
Roscoe, imagine me looking up from the infield at all the Royals up there. I'm looking up at Aaron. I'm looking up at AJ with their high society stupid hats up there, your mint juleps, and I'm down there in the infield with my throne, shotgunning beers with the white trash folks in the infield. Yeah. I've been there before. I'll go back again, but it'd be very cool to be up there where they're at because, boy, it looked a lot nicer and a lot more comfortable. Air conditioning, I think, up there. The whole thing. AJ has lived like a king in Louisville these past couple of years.
It just depends what you want, man. Like, some people only want that infield experience. I may have, years ago, I think I would have thrived in that infield experience. Now, at 36 years old, I think it's passed me by. You got to know, you got to stay in your lane. Didn't General Bob tell you that earlier? Like, stay in your lane. You got to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And right now, my strength would not be in the infield.
General Bob said he only wants to fight a one-front war. Okay,
Smart.
That's why he did Big Ten. That's why he hasn't taken his army over to the Pac-12. He will be open for some consulting, though, if the general of the Mark Sanchez-led army in Pac-12 want to get after it. But General Bob said that. I was built for that infield years ago. I was. I tell you, I thrived in there. I've been there a couple different times now. I had a very good time. At this point in my life, I don't think I can handle it. Now, that is not to be said, though, that if I was potentially invited or got my own suite where the rich guys are at, and the boys came with, I would assume there's a chance at some point during that weekend where I'd look around and I'd look down the infield and go, I think we should go down there. I would assume, if I know me like I think I know me, at some point I'd look down there and I'd go, we got to go down there. And we would go down, we'd get down there. And there's a lot of chaos, by the way. You don't know who has beer. There's like different situations going on. We wouldn't be able to find something as quick. And at that point, I go, I've made a large mistake.
You get mobbed.
We should go. I would, at this point in my life, I would probably get mobbed down there because those are our people down there. But boy, the air conditioning that I see AJ live in and Aaron up there, it is righteous on that May 2nd humid weekend in Louisville. And that's where I'm at now, though. I'm an old man.
Plus, you run the risk of running into Guy Fieri and having him spit in your face again.
Oh, come on.
I mean, that just didn't happen.
Fieri. Guys up top where Aaron is, so you can run into him up there. Maybe your table will be right next to him.
Hey, Guy Fieri told me he would make me famous. He said he put his phone on me and he had his light on. He was videoing me, and he told me he'd make me famous and told me like to dance basically. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. But I appreciate you.
Donkey sauce?
What's that?
How do you handle that? What do you do if he's filming you and saying, I'm going to make you famous?
I said, I forget how I handled it. I mean, that was one of the most interesting situations I've ever been in my entire life.
If you punch him in the face, you probably would have been pretty famous.
No. He was very nice. He was very, very nice to me. Aside from that one very awkward situation. We were at the same party. It was his party. We were invited to go to a party that he was hosting by the people that were paying for him to host the party. So we stopped down there. We go to the party. The party was not great, but we had a good time. And he was in the back, like in a back corner section. And I was asked, like, do you want to go meet Guy Fieri? And I was like, yeah, of course I'd like to meet Guy Fieri. So I have to get by. He's one bouncer, good guy, very nice guy. Then there's another security guy, and like in his back corner, he's back there. And we're all having a good time at this point, right? We're all having a good time. And I go, Guy, what's going on, man? Nice to meet you. Shake his hand pre-COVID, do the whole thing. I'm like, diners, drive-ins, and I do the whole, whatever you would, anything that I know that this person does, I just spit it out there and say, I love it with a fist bump. And I was going to walk out, and he goes, I like your style or something. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I like your style too, And then he pulls out his phone, and he goes, I'll make you famous or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't need that. Okay, I appreciate it. I think I did like a swim move potentially on it.
See you later.
And then I gave him a fist bump, and then I walked right back out of there, right back to the main area where all the boys were. And I'm like, can't wait to tell you what the fuck just happened back there. Let's get out of here. But he was very nice to us. And that party would have been good, I think. That party would have been very, very good.
Where was that party?
It was at a bar down there on 4th Street Live. There's just nobody there. It's very interesting.
Nobody there.
Really? Guy Fieri hosting a party? No one.
Yeah, but Guy Fieri has like 3 restaurants down there. He does well down there.
Yeah.
That particular party, though, had nobody at it. And I don't think it was Guy's fault, by the way. I do not believe it was Guy's fault. I think there was other places that were popping off that I assume AJ Hawk was at. But I would have been famous then.
Were there at least some gangster finger foods for you guys to enjoy?
Donkey sauce, like bad.
No, he definitely. I don't even think there was food at all.
I don't think there was food there.
Oh, Guy.
That's why I think he just showed up to get his money, and he didn't really have his hands in the planning and the coordinating of the event.
Yeah, he was very nice to me though, and he was going to make me famous, which I appreciate.
Very nice.
Let's go to Luke over there in New Jersey. AJ, what a situation! What do you do when somebody pulls out a phone?
I do not do well in those situations. If somebody held it, I'd have just walked away and be like, well, can't talk to him again.
Well, that is kind of what happened. But I just hit him with like, okay, I forget how I exactly handled it. I think I hit him with like, okay, all right, I'll see you later. I'm going to get out of here for both of us. Luke in New Jersey, what's up, bub?
Pat, I am here to redeem myself from my earlier mistake on the show.
How'd he get through again?
Mitt.
Luke? Let's get to it.
Luke,
what do we? Now he's blaming Mitt. I like it. Yes. I like it. All right.
We're talking about Pandemic P and how horrible he is. Didn't make a shot in the 4th quarter. If that was LeBron, he'd be crucified. He'd be done.
Agreed. Did you watch the basketball game last night? The Los Angeles Clippers lost to the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets, a lot of fun to watch, by the way. Very fun team to watch. It seems like they got it going on. Jamal Murray is a electric shooter out there. And this dude, Djokovic, whatever his name is, people are saying he's going to be an MVP within like 3 years whenever people get used to the big man with handles, vision, and an ability to shoot. But Paul George last night had a rough one. Fourth quarter with 4 minutes left whenever they were losing. I took that picture last night and said, oh, he's in a bad spot right now on Twitter. He shot a three in the fourth quarter of Game 7 while losing in a game you weren't supposed to lose. He shot a three from the side, and it hit the backboard and then bounced out like very, very bad. And then obviously the Portland Trailblazers, C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard, who got into it with Playoff P and with Patrick Beverley just earlier a couple weeks ago in the bubble. They kept receipts. They buried them promptly upon them being down 20 in the fourth quarter of a Game 7. I mean, basketball drama is a lot more interesting right now than basketball on the court, but that Denver Nuggets team is awesome, and that Clippers team is going to implode. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but everybody's waiting on it. And Kawhi Leonard will probably end up somewhere else, or Paul George will end up somewhere else. But thus far, said experiment of the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard has been a failure. Mm-hmm. And whenever you list off everything they had to give up to get Paul, a 2021 first-round pick, a 2022 first-round pick, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2024 first-round pick, keep the 2025 one. We'll take the 2026 first-round pick. That is very, very tough. And the stat that Joe Pompliano said here is last night Paul George made less field goals for than first round picks that the Clippers had to give up to get him, and that is a tough stat for a Game 7.
I mean, I'm sure I'm very ignorant on this, and basketball fans I'm sure would be upset, but I had no idea they gave up 5 first-round picks for Paul George.
Me neither, by the way. I thought they just signed him as a free agent. I had no idea that happened.
Both those players, too, Gallinari and Alexander, both very good at basketball.
That's tough. Paul George used to be an Indiana Pacer whenever the Pacers were very, very good. It was a lot of fun to watch those teams. I guess since leaving here, somehow, something has happened. The internet has turned on him. I did not know that. I always got along with Paul. I liked Paul. Got a chance to do some celebrity stuff with him, and when he was on this team, they were very good. Then something happened at the All-Star game. Nobody knows. It potentially involved Paul. And immediately after that All-Star game, the team's dynamic completely changed. They all hated each other. They lost. Everybody gets sent out of town. George Hill, gone. See you later. Paul George, gone. See you later. Roy Hibbert, gone. See you later. Coach, gone. See you later. Larry Bird, retire. I mean, something happened at that All-Star game that I don't know. Lance Stevenson, gone. See you later. I mean, that whole team basically got imploded. And I was like one of their biggest fans. Bought 5,000 tickets to go so they could have a sellout for a playoff game there. And ever since then, everything has changed for both the Pacers and for Paul George, it feels, because the internet were savages on that dude last night. It was tough. Tough night.
They're hard on Kawhi now, too, aren't they, after this one game?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play great, but it's still Kawhi. They love him.
So Kawhi and Paul George scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. That is tough.
The team didn't hit a field goal until there was 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
And they were... And the other Denver Nuggets in the fourth quarter last night were knocking out. Jamal Murray hit a fadeaway three from like the 4-point shot in the big three. I mean, it was awesome to watch, by the way, because Game 7, those are the shots that you remember. Yep. And I would assume Jamal Murray, like, those are shots he's going to talk about for a long time. But that's an inch and a half away from being a brick. Oh, yeah. Those things falling for him last night. It was very obvious early in that fourth quarter, like, oh, this is over. If that's going in and that's not on the other side, this is over. And I hammered the Denver Nuggets plus 7.5, by the way. Hammered it. Just strictly because I don't know a lot about basketball, but 7.5 points is a lot of fucking points in a Game 7. Turns out Clippers need a lot more than that if they want to keep it in. What's that, AJ?
No, you showed that Magic Johnson tweet. So he said in 2015 the Clippers choked, and then they choked again last night in the year 2020. Are there any players on the Clippers now that were on the team in 2015?
No. I doubt it.
Doc Rivers.
Oh, Doc Rivers.
He's gone.
People are saying he'll run him out of town. He'll be a hot commodity, though, on the streets.
He's like 14 and 27 in those type of, what is it, game or series-ending games.
Elimination, yeah.
You know, our numbers on YouTube, I don't know about on Sirius, but on YouTube, when we start talking NBA, just
see you later.
They say no juice. Chris Mad Dog Russo, legend in sports talk world, whenever he said, welcome to Mad Dog Sports Radio, he gave me an entire 12-minute rundown of everything. He said, NBA is not going to give you any juice. Not going to give you any juice. Maybe LeBron's in the finals, they'll get some juice, but aside from that, you're not getting any juice. Turns out Clippers losing to the Nuggets in an upset. No juice. People are bailing the fuck out. Let's go to Clayton over there in Pennsylvania. What's going on, Clayton?
What's going on? I'm hearing some music right now.
Should I be talking? Can you hear me?
Oh, this guy stinks. All right, Clayton.
See you
Thanks,
later,
bud. Let's go to
Clayton.
Zach in Minnesota.
Hey, how we doing, boys?
Hey, not too shabby. A lot better than Clayton in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I think the guy is delusional right now. Might be on mushrooms. Don't know what he's hearing. Somebody needs to check on him in Pennsylvania, please. Excited to chat with you in Minnesota, pal.
Yeah, roll the boat, ski ma, go Gophers.
Hey, don't you know there? Hey, we're all in that boat there. We're paddling, you see, and we're all going the same direction there, don't you know? We went down there to Minnesota, and it's very cold down there in Minneapolis. That's why they have the entire city connected, so you don't have to go outside when it's negative 28.
Yeah, and then you can catch swordfish out of Lake Minnetonka.
Oh, yeah, you're going to Lake Minnetonka with the Arctic wolves out there. You stick your arm down in the hole, and don't you know there, a swordfish comes out. We're big Minneapolis, Minnesota fans there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was calling in today to talk about that other bubble. Let's see if we can get more juice rolling into the show here.
Oh, let's talk about the MLS. Yeah, this would be great.
No. NHL, baby.
Oh, the NHL bubble. Yeah, that'll bury our ratings for sure there.
See you later.
Let's talk about it.
I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on the Game 5 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And
Who cares?
Who cares?
Let's go to Logan Higgins.
Oh, well, actually.
Who is playing? Who's left?
So the Stars, Gumpy's Dallas Stars, are in the finals.
Gumpy has a fake team every single day.
It's
Gumpy
wild.
has a new fake team every single day.
Guys from Western Canada loves Dallas Stars. And then Tampa Bay
And Dolphins
and
and the Red Sox.
The New York Islanders
Celtics.
are finishing up in the East.
The Islanders are winning?
No, they are
Tampa
down
is.
3-2 currently.
Oh, no.
Everyone's just waiting for Tampa to finish them off.
Let's go to Logan Higgins in Green Bay. Don't you know?
How you doing, guys?
Not too shabby. How are you over there in Green Bay? I assume AJ knows you pretty well. Small town over there. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, AJ, you probably do know Chives.
You know Chives?
Of course, yeah, I know Chives.
Oh, us too.
This is Logan from Chives.
Logan from Chives.
I actually do know Logan. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I saw you when I was there last, Logan. Yeah, what's up, man?
Yeah, dude. For Aaron's birthday. How you doing?
For Aaron's
Yeah, I'm
birthday.
doing
he
well,
said.
man. Yeah, it's amazing. Pat says it's a joke, and it's actually you. So yeah, Pat, I really do know.
Yeah, I know, right?
Green Bay is
figured
the
you-
smallest village of all time. I'm telling you, it is a tiny little town. I like this. Logan from Chives. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Nothing, man. I just want to talk about. Well, first, how glad I am that you got a show back. That you got AJ on it often. You got Aaron on it a week. I mean, it's my kind of show. I'll be listening every day.
We appreciate that. Lucky to be here. Thankful for AJ. Thankful for Aaron and the boys here. And have I ever been to Chives? Is that bar and restaurant in Green Bay?
Yeah, you did come when you called that game. I think it was last season. You came with the Fox crew.
You know him too.
Yeah, you were behind the bar, right? You were the guy that was behind the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Logan too. Logan! Yeah, Logan, you're kind of hipster looking, right? Like kind of a hipster looking guy?
I don't know about it. I don't dress hipster. No, I would say not hipster.
You
can say hipster-ish.
Normally I have a pretty good memory. That's on me, Logan. Can't wait to get back to Chives over there. Good for you. Does he own the place? Yeah, I think I met that guy. I think I met Logan from Chives.
Logan he's taking it over. Yeah, he worked there. I think he owns it now.
Yeah, I do know.
Small
Logan.
world.
Yeah, meet Logan. Good for Logan, AJ, and Aaron. You know, we know each other. Whenever I called the game out there, the Fox team was like, "We're going to go have a production dinner or whatever." And I asked where, and they said, "Oh, you only do it at one place, and it's Chives. Very nice restaurant. Cold as balls outside. Very, very nice restaurant, though. Very nice."
Yeah, I know the crews go there because we would eat there a lot on Friday nights. And we had Troy Aikman, Joe Buck on a lot of our games, a lot of Fox games. So I would see them stroll in there a lot.
Where's the after parties over there? Is that at Chives, like after games? You guys all head over to Chives?
No, they're not. There's not a whole lot of after parties. I mean, you guys go to each other's houses. I think that there's other spots. There was a real good bar called Sports Corner our Super Bowl year that we would go to a lot, and all your families would come. And there's pool tables, like a legit bar, not a club. It was awesome, and then it eventually shut down. But that was our spot for our Super Bowl year.
You know, I was a club guy for a while. Then I became a bar guy. I love the bar era.
Oh, yeah.
The bar era is a good time.
Way better.
You know, when you can hear people and have conversation and see stuff and do stuff. That's really good. And then obviously I got arrested or whatever. That kind of changed everything. Let's go to John in Kansas. Last call.
You could hear each other in a bar. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Club, you can't hear.
Yeah, I agree. In the club, you're only on one mission here. I'm here to get as ripped as possible in here. How can I get as obliterated as possible in here? Let's go ahead and do it. And by the way, my dance moves are good, so get ready for those.
You got to bring skis to the club, too. That's the problem.
And once you hit, what's that?
What?
Oh, you're talking about all the cocaine?
Yeah.
See, that wasn't my thing. That was
in most clubs. I'm just saying it flies around.
a lot of people. By the way, new people that hear me or see me, they're like, "Lay off the cocaine or whatever," because I have high energy or whatever. I'm a complete opposite human. Actually, I need less energy. I don't need something to go into my brain and fucking wake it up anymore.
Green tea from Starbucks.
Let's go to John in Kansas. Exactly. That's right. John's dead. All right.
John.
AJ, Richard Sherman went on IR today. For 3 weeks, you have to be on IR before you can come back. So obviously, T's and P's, Richard Sherman. Hope it's not serious. I like this 3 week you can return thing for teams and for rosters and for everybody, even players included in that. I hope they keep this post-COVID world. I hope this becomes the new norm where guys can go on IR. We can open up a roster spot while keeping this person around, rehab them, get them back whenever they're healthy, go back to the roster, the active roster. Do you agree with that? I hope this continues after COVID season.
I absolutely agree with this because let's say Richard Sherman, let's say it's not a 3 week injury, say it's a 6 week thing. He's dealing with a calf, I know. You can bring him back. Like instead, back in the day, they'd have to make the decision, hey, 6 weeks, we need to open up that roster spot. We might have to put him down for the year. So I think the rules they're doing right now, they should carry over into the post-COVID years.
Rather massive news coming out of the Denver Broncos. Vic Fangio, the head coach, has backpedaled a little bit on his post-game press conference where he said, I didn't do anything wrong. I don't care what you say. The whole world thinks I mismanaged my timeouts and the clock. I went to sleep tonight after losing the game with 2 timeouts when I could have used them earlier and maybe got the ball back. He came out and said this yesterday.
I did miss calling a timeout after the second down play from the 29-yard line. When Henry got 13 yards down to our 16, I should have called timeout there. That was the one I missed. It was totally my fault there. I had too much thought into what I was going to call next on defense, and I missed it.
And I don't want to say that I told you so about him worrying about defense and being a defensive guy interrupting him, but I did say this, AJ. Is Vic Fangio a defensive guy?
Yeah. He was the Bears DC before he went over.
Makes even more sense because defensive coordinators don't have to handle game situations. It's always offensive coaches. Okay, do we punt here? Do we go for it? Do we take a knee? Do we do this? The offense is much more so driving the action and the defense is reacting to. So I think a lot of defensive coaches that become head coaches have no idea what's going on in situational football or in time management because they've never had to deal with it because they're always reacting to the other. You agree with that on AJ? I mean, obviously it's right what I just said. Vic Fangio just came out and said it, but I had to run that back just for new listeners and new viewers to know that I do know what I'm talking about a little bit. You have to agree, I assume, AJ.
I 100% agree with you. I think it's a great point that probably does not get talked about enough.
Yeah, defensive guys are always reacting. Okay, so the offense, timeout. Okay, we're going for it. We're doing this. And the defense is just like, oh, they're calling a timeout. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and react to it. And whenever you're doing that and you become a head coach, you become the guy. And they said that there was multiple people trying to tell them what to do. Hey, can't have too many chefs in the kitchen, pal. The food never get done. There should be one voice in there. And I assume Vic's going to assign somebody. And Tom McMahon, the special teams guy, he is somebody who is good with time management because it always affects the special teams, by the way. Everyone always talks about how important it is to get a good night's rest, but following that advice can be difficult. That's why the folks at CBDMD created CBD PM to help you get the rest you deserve and feel your best every morning. CBD PM blends 500 milligrams of superior CBD with sleep-promoting ingredients like melatonin, valerian root, and chamomile to create a powerful and effective sleep aid. So whether you're up late with the kids, pets, or you get it, you can turn existential dread. Jeez, I hope you don't have that. You can turn to CBD PM and get the rest you need to handle anything that comes your way. Right now, you go to cbdmd.com and use promo code McAfee. You'll get 25% off your purchase. That's cbdmd.com, promo code McAfee for 25% off your purchase. I use CBD PM every single night. It knocks you out. About 30 minutes, you can go ahead and bank on it like clockwork. It'll put you to sleep, nice deep sleep. Shout out to CBDMD at cbdmd.com, promo code McAfee, 25% off. Any final words for the people at Mad Dog Radio before the legend Chris Mad Dog Russo comes on?
I don't think so. Yeah, hopefully we're a good lead-in for the legend Mad Dog. He's a legend, been doing it for forever, it seems like. So Had fun today. Can't wait for tomorrow.
I can't wait for tomorrow. We appreciate you, AJ. We appreciate all our guests. Ryan Kerrigan, nice guy. Probably will never come back on the show, but he's a good football player. Very thankful for Ike Taylor, General Bob Carpenter. The Big Ten's back. We covered everything that happened in sports world, even some basketball. And up next, a man who basically created sports talk. A man whose name is used to name this Sirius XM channel, Mad Dog Radio. Channel 82 will be on the mic. He will be breaking down all of the incredible news stories in only a fashion that Chris Mad Dog Russo can do. And if you want to call in and bitch about this show, go ahead and do it, because we got another 95 weeks here. This has been the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, September 16th. We appreciate you so much. We'll see you mañana. Have the greatest Wednesday in the history of Wednesdays. Hey, thank you too, Bub.
You had a good show.
Yours.
Hey, you rock.
Oh no, I just got asked to do something.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
It's pretty big, but I don't know.
Well,
tell us what it is.
Hey, Jay.
Well, here's some breaking news. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has signed a contract to fight Logan Paul in an upcoming exhibition match to take place before the end of 2020, says source. This is classic Floyd Mayweather, by the way. This guy, Floyd Mayweather, he signed an exhibition match in Japan on New Year's Eve, and he went in there and just beat a billionaire's son to death. The guy actually cried in the ring. Floyd Mayweather had an actual boxing match against a man who has never had a professional boxing match before. It made over $150 million in doing so. Floyd Mayweather will now, somehow, exhibition box against a man who's double his size in Logan Paul, who has been working out, is in great shape. He was a high school wrestler in Ohio, but this is going to be the same story, I'd assume, as every other fight against Floyd Mayweather. You can train all you want. Your cardio will never be able to keep up with him. Your hands will never be as fast as him. You won't be able to hit him. You will lose. But I am pumped to watch Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather Jr. And by the way, shout out to Logan Paul stepping in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. Shout out to Logan Paul doing these professional boxing matches. You just got to keep your head on a swivel. Floyd Mayweather's hated by everybody, but he's the greatest of all time for a reason, and I assume this is a great way to get some more money. Good for him. That's what he is. He's a businessman and money team, and I will watch this. And I think people probably hate me for promoting it, but I will fucking watch it for sure.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I mean, I don't think Logan Paul has a chance against Floyd. You mentioned it. No one can hit Floyd. Do we have any idea, any more details, like how many rounds it is? What network is on? Is it on YouTube? What are we doing?
So an exhibition, whenever we were talking to Evander Holyfield. When we were talking to Evander Holyfield, the exhibition.
No, I think it was George Holyfield, right?
You're thinking George Foreman.
I was thinking George Foreman, which, by the way,
good grill.
Incredible grill.
Great
I
grill.
mean, great. It's supposed to be Hulk Hogan's, by the way. He said no. They give it to George Foreman.
Sorry. Hulkster.
He made enough. Hulk Hogan's made enough money, but it could have been even more. We were talking to him. The exhibition fight was like 3 rounds, and there's no winner. Because this was whenever he was thinking about getting back in the game. Mike Tyson was thinking about getting back in the game. And they were talking about having these exhibitions. And he was like, it's 3 rounds or 5 rounds, and there's no winner, and they got to wear a helmet, the whole thing. So as he was telling us, because we were promoting him getting back into the fight game. And he was like, how he always stays shape. Hey, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready and all this stuff. It was a cool conversation. We were talking about Mike Tyson. Like, hey, Mike Tyson's going to come throw refrigerators at some old folks and just line them up like we were pumped about it. And he was like, no, it's going to be an exhibition. So it'll be 3-5 rounds. We wear headgear and there'll be no winner. And it just completely took the entire soul out of the conversation. I was like, well, that sounds like it's going to suck. I would assume Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul understand good content and that it'll be different than normal exhibitions, and I would assume they can make their own rules. But the exhibitions of the past, there's like no winner, you have to wear headgear, you have to do all this. I hope they change that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. And right now, the Tyson-Roy Jones Jr. fight is still on, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Can't be moved, can't be moved, can't be done. We hot when we'll learn.
It's a song, dude.
I don't know.
That's Roy Jones Jr. He's a rapper.
Oh, really? I know he has like Russian citizenship. The he was awesome. I used to watch him all the time.
Oh, that guy's talking in New York. Man, I thought there was a human just whispering in my brain right there. I was like, am I losing my shit right now? It was Sirius XM back there in the corner. AJ, appreciate you, brother. We'll see you mañana. Tomorrow, we got guests that people are going to be mind blown by. What? Tomorrow's guests are big guests. AJ.
Oh, good tease. Don't let everybody know. Keep them on the hook.
Yeah, because we won't let other people know because we know for sure.
Yeah, massive.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't guess.
We looked at our guest list and we're like,
jeez, Thursday's going to be huge.
Thursday. Everybody's talking Tuesday with Aaron and all that stuff, and NFC Defensive Player of the Week on Wednesday, and it's like, well, wait till you fucking see Thursday's lineup.
Blown away.
Blown away. Surprised.
I can't wait. You teased me. I can't wait. I'll be coming back.
We have no idea who's on the show tomorrow, but it'll be a good show. We can't wait to see you. Remember, if you're a McAfee Mafia member, please utilize that discount code, which basically gives you your money back that you paid to become a McAfee Mafia member. We are building a studio currently that's going to be done next week, I believe, at my house for more content. Cannot wait to give exclusive offers, exclusive content, great emotes, everything you could potentially think for the McAfee Mafia members. We appreciate the hell out of you. For myself, the stogie smoking legend, AJ Hawk, and all the boys, have the best Wednesday you've ever had in your entire life. We'll see you manana. Cheers. Good show. Not a bad show. Not a bad show.
Good show.
Not a bad show.
Good show.